Welcome to Highway Survival. You will be assigned a random vehicle at the start. Normally, only one player exists on each highway. If you encounter abnormal situations, you can only hope for the best. Looting treasure chests, slaying monsters, and eliminating other players will grant you supplies. Keep moving forward. Never turn back. You must travel no less than 50 kilometers each day. Your vehicle is your safe zone. No one may enter without your permission. A stats panel has been generated based on your personal conditions. You may view it at will. Global server chat is now open. Free trading is enabled. What? Where on earth have I been dragged to? Xia Ning clutched a roll of toilet paper, blinked, and stared blankly at her surroundings. She had been straining with constipation just moments ago. Thank goodness there was no one around, otherwise she would have died of embarrassment. 10 seconds later, Xia Ning pulled up her trousers and accepted the fact that she had been pulled into the highway survival game. She read plenty of survival novels, so she knew quite a bit about all kinds of fatal scenarios. Random starting vehicle, huh? Alright, I'll trade whatever remaining lifespan my ex-boyfriend has for endless good luck. Xia Ning prayed earnestly. It was the only useful thing her ex-boyfriend would ever do for her. Rolling for your random starting vehicle. Ding dong. Congratulations! You have obtained SSR, rank vehicle, travel dining truck. Ding dong! Congratulations! You are the first player across the whole server to acquire an SSR, rank vehicle. Unlocked achievement, lucky. Lucky, treasure chest loots will trigger critical multipliers too, 10 times. Did sacrificing my ex-boyfriend actually work? Xia Ning's eyes widened and her jaw dropped. The air in front of her rippled, and a massive machine materialized out of thin air, settling firmly in the middle of the highway. Did I just hit the jackpot? She exclaimed. This was no ordinary travel dining truck. It was a heavily modified mobile fortress built from a heavy-duty truck chassis. Its matte alloy reinforced armor gave it sharp, imposing lines, retaining the heavy truck's formidable front fascia. Both sides of the vehicle were widened and expanded. Large one-way panoramic windows let in plenty of daylight while blocking outsiders from seeing anything inside. Xia Ning hurried over, pulled open the door, and climbed aboard. The interior took her breath away. There was a full smart home control system, genuine leather massage sofas, a constant temperature wine cabinet, and a large double bed beneath a panoramic sunroof. Even the bathroom had a full-size bathtub with a wet, dry partition. Best of all, it featured a one-tap business mode. Side panels unfolded to set up a street-stall station, complete with full kitchenware and seasonings. Ding dong! Please select today's auto-produced meals. Option 1, Luosafen noodles ×5, mineral water ×5. Option 2, chicken hot pot rice ×5, mineral water ×5. Option 3, Yenji cold noodles ×5, mineral water ×5. Xia Ning was stunned. It can automatically produce food? Affirmative. This is an innate feature of the SSR, rank travel dining truck. As the vehicle levels up, output quantity and recipe variety will increase. Xia Ning stared at the floating selection menu, heart pounding. In this brutal highway survival world, nothing mattered more than food and water. With steady food production, she would not starve. Without hesitation, she picked chicken hot pot rice. Rice was filling. She would keep 2 portions for herself and trade the rest for critical supplies, most notably fuel. She had just noticed the truck held an 800-liter fuel tank. Unladen fuel consumption sat around 30 liters per 100 kilometers. This thing drank fuel like crazy. Xia Ning ate one steaming bowl of chicken hot pot rice and let out a satisfied burp. She moved to the driver's seat and started the engine. The cabin was extremely quiet, with only a faint low hum. The highway stretched wide, roughly 30 meters across, smooth and endless as far as the eye could see. Resting one hand on the steering wheel, she pulled up her character panel. Player, Xia Ning, female, 23. Server, Huaxia server, zone 8888. Nickname, unset. Vehicle, travel dining truck level 1. Health, 89. Combined rating for hunger and fatigue. Falling below 30 triggers debilitation. Driving is forbidden in the state. Strength, 16. You barely have enough power to lift a chicken. Agility, 19. You are only 20 seconds slower than Usain Bolt. Keep trying. Stamina, 17. Your daily step count is probably single digit. Combat rating, 52. Better back away. Supplies, chicken hot pot rice ×4, mineral water ×4. Survival coins, 0. Xia Ning twitched her mouth. Barely strong enough to lift a chicken? Only yesterday she had gotten into a fight with a big domestic goose. The goose pecked her trousers 3 times. In return, she landed 13 kicks, 8 open, palmed slaps, and 2 spinning takedowns. She had already bought pickled cabbage and vermicelli. If not for distant, relative objections, that goose would have ended up stewed. Thinking for a moment, she typed in her usual online alias, Boss Xia with cash. Bored, she opened the global chat channel. It was buzzing non-stop. I don't know what sins I committed in my past life. My starting vehicle is a shared bicycle. I'm better off. I got a 3-wheeler tricycle, but it has no roof. Help! Why did I spawn with a horse for my vehicle? Waiting to die over here. I got a baby walker. I can only shuffle forward. Good fortune to all. My vehicle is an Iveco Golden Cup hearse at your service. This game is so unfair. I opened a white, gray treasure chest and a monster popped out. Giant ants the size of shoes. Has anyone else seen those? Xianing had been grinning while reading, but her mood dropped instantly. Treasure chests could spawn monsters? And her lucky achievement granted multipliers up to 10-fold. That could spell disaster. Just then she hit the brakes sharply. A white, gray treasure chest sat on the highway shoulder ahead. She parked her truck at a safe distance. If danger appeared, she could sprint straight back into the vehicle and escape at high speed. Prepared, she took a deep breath and unlocked the chest. The chest shook violently. Ding dong! Opened white, grade treasure chest. Triggered lucky critical multiplier. Loot quantity times 2. Xianing froze. 2 huge, plump white creatures squatted right in front of her. Their orange, red flat beaks glinted under sunlight and tiny black eyes stared hostilely at her. Honk! Honk! Xianing's mouth twitched non-stop. Had the system heard she never got to eat stewed goose with pickled cabbage and delivered these for her? These geese were far bulkier than ordinary farm geese. Muscles bulged visibly at the base of their wings. Xianing stroked her chin. Mutant geese. I wonder if they taste good. One goose tilted its neck and let out an aggressive honk. It spread its wings, pushed off with powerful legs, and charged straight for her. Whoa! It charges! Xianing dodged sideways in alarm. The second goose leaped airborne, aiming its beak straight for her face. Xianing knew geese well. Their beaks bore sharp keratin ridges. Once they bit down, they twisted their necks to tear flesh. Their attack patterns were limited. If you avoided their beaks, you could handle them. Shifting her footing, she evaded and delivered a sharp side kick. Boom! The goose flew backward like a sack, feathers scattering everywhere. As the other goose charged again, Xianing's eyes sharpened. She grabbed its neck firmly. Ignoring flailing webbed feet and thrashing wings, she spun in place and swung the goose in wide circles. Smack! The half-human-sized goose crashed hard onto asphalt, raising a cloud of dust. Still honking. Xianing straddled the goose, pinning its neck, and landed several firm open, palmed slaps to its head. Dizzy from the blows, the once ferocious bird's small black eyes turned glassy. The other goose recovered and tried to ambush her again. Xianing reacted fast, seized its neck, and finished both creatures cleanly. Ding dong! Defeated mutant geese. Obtained, fresh goose meat times 10, magical feather times 1, survival coins times 5. The geese's bodies dissolved into specks of light. Xianing bent down and collected the drops. The goose meat looked high quality. Each piece was palm-sized, rich red with clear muscle grain. But she was more curious about the feather. She checked its description. Magical feather. Rank, white. Description. Dropped by a local tyrant goose. Wear it in your hair to gain +5 strength, +5 agility. This is equipment granting 2 stat bonuses? She tucked the feather beside her temple. It wobbled adorably as she moved her head. She reopened her character panel. Strength and agility had indeed gone up by 5 points. She hopped in place. Her legs felt lighter, her movements far more nimble. She climbed back into the truck and kept driving. The global chat kept scrolling rapidly. Useless chests. Both of mine were completely empty. Am I just terribly unlucky? I've driven 20 kilometers and haven't spotted a single chest. I opened a 5-gene sack of rice, but I have 0 cookware. Am I supposed to eat it raw? 5 gene of rice. Other players lacked kitchen tools, but she had a full kitchen aboard. She messaged the player named Poop, pulling Little Magic Fairy. Wanna trade that rice? Poop, pulling Little Magic Fairy was a 19-year-old girl driving a small 4-wheel delivery e-bike, filled with despair. Summer had arrived, and she had been following a 16+8 intermittent fasting diet to fit into nice dresses. She had been 16 hours without food when she got pulled into this death game world. Her health value was dangerously close to 30. Soon she would enter the debilitated state and lose driving privileges. If she failed to complete the daily 50-kilometer requirement, death awaited. When she received the private message, poop, pulling little magic fairy grasped it like a lifeline. Yes, absolutely. I want food and bottled water. Xia Ning replied quickly, 1 serving of chicken hot pot rice plus 1 bottle of mineral water. This trade was excellent. 5 jin of rice could make at least 20 boxed meals. Combined with goose meat she could cook and resell for huge profit. With health hanging by a thread, poop, pulling little magic fairy sent a trade request immediately. Xia Ning confirmed, placing the rice meal and mineral water into the trade window. Trade complete. She sent a friend request. Poop, pulling little magic fairy, what else do you need? Boss Xia with cash, message me whenever you need more food. I accept barter or survival coins. Poop, pulling little magic fairy lit up. Really, boss? That's amazing. She suspected Xia Ning could prepare cooked meals, why else ask for raw rice? Food was the most vital resource in highway survival. Having a chef as an ally would drastically raise her odds of staying alive. Poop, pulling little magic fairy replied at once, I promise. Any good loot I find will go straight to you first. Xia Ning smiled faintly. My truck burns massive amounts of fuel. Keep an eye out for fuel for me. Poop, pulling little magic fairy, no problem. My vehicle runs on batteries, so any fuel I find is yours. Xia Ning sent an okay emoji and closed the conversation. She glanced at the dashboard. 22 kilometers traveled for the day. She still needed 28 more kilometers to hit the daily quota. She was about to press onward when she spotted a familiar shape ahead. A treasure chest, and it was green grade. Treasure chest ranks went from white, green, blue, purple, orange, red, dark gold, to rainbow. Xia Ning's heart raced. Higher, ranked chests yielded richer, better, quality supplies. They also spawned deadlier monsters. She had a kitchen cleaver on board, yet it was bound to the dining truck and could not be taken outside. Fortune favors the bold. She parked and stepped beside the chest. Obtained, universal fuel ×2, backpack ×1, iron ore ×5, shape, shifting outfit ×1, survival coins ×3. Ding dong. Opened green, grade treasure chest. Triggered lucky critical multiplier. Loot quantity ×10. What had once held a handful of items now piled up into a small mountain. Xia Ning stared in shock for 3 full seconds before snapping back to reality. Oh my goodness, I hit the jackpot. 20 portions of universal fuel, 50 liters each. That would power her truck for a very long time. Each backpack offered 10 storage slots. She merged 9 spare backpacks, expanding her inventory to 19 slots. Iron ore was valuable material for upgrading vehicles. Her survival coins jumped to 35. She was now comfortably well off. Then there was the shape-shifting outfit. What was this? She picked it up and read its description, gasping in excitement. Shape-shifting outfit special gear. 1. Full customization. Underwear, socks, footwear, outerwear, hairstyle, and hair color can all be freely adjusted. 2. Visual material simulation. Fabrics such as lace, patent leather, silk can be simulated visually. Provides no physical defensive protection. 3. Permanent self-cleaning. Stains, oil, and blood vanish instantly. Clothing and hair always stay neat and fresh. No washing required. 4. Save preset outfits. Change your entire look with a single thought. Her fingertips trembled with excitement. It was like a real life dress up game. What girl could resist that? Every layer from inner wear to hairstyle could be altered. Best of all, no washing, including her hair. Normally shampoo rinsing took forever, holding the hair, dryer made her arms sore, and damp ends would frizz. Now her hair would stay fluffy and fresh no matter what happened. She would not even need shampoo. A thought flashed through her mind. Her cheap online purchased t-shirt and jeans transformed into sharp black tactical gear. A fitted tactical jacket layered over a black sleeveless top. High-waisted cargo trousers tucked into thick, soled high-top boots. The outfit accentuated her long legs and slender waist, elevating her whole bearing. Her long hair pulled itself neatly into a high ponytail dyed cool tea brown. Xia Ning stowed all supplies inside her inventory and stepped in front of the cabin mirror. She could not hide her excitement gazing at her sharp, capable reflection. Another thought, and she switched into a short, sleeved white shirt dress paired with white ankle socks and clean white sneakers. Paired with her natural good looks, she carried a fresh, wholesome school girl charm. Wow, this looks incredible. She could not stop experimenting in front of the mirror. She saved more than 30 preset outfits for different occasions and styles. Returning to the driver's seat, she fell into thought. This special gear was extremely rare. Right now players barely possess supplies or survival coins. Selling it would be poor timing. Since she had no urgent material shortages, she would hold on to it. Once the player economy matured, she could assess its true market value. Watching for treasure chests, she cruised at a steady 60 kilometers per hour. Even after finishing her 50-kilometer daily requirement, she encountered no more chests. Xianing brought her massive dining truck to a halt on the highway. The global chat flooded with players begging for food. It was time for her to step in. As someone who loved food, cooking was one of her greatest joys. This travel dining truck was a complete mobile kitchen. It had a built-in double-door refrigerator, microwave, high-power gas burner, and large-capacity rice cooker. The sink connected to an unlimited drinking water source, running water on demand. However, the water, cookware, and seasonings were vehicle-bound by game rules. They could not be removed or traded. Xianing rinsed the 5 gene of traded rice and poured it into the electric rice cooker. Next she took the 10 portions of fresh mutant goose meat. To preserve maximum tenderness, she decided to steam them. She prepped the meat, added ginger slices and cooking wine to remove gamey odors, and set it aside to marinate. While waiting, she activated business mode with one tap. Side panels unfolded, opening up spacious counter space. Water boiled. She placed the marinated goose meat and aromatics into the steamer and closed the lid over high heat. Soon rich, savory meat fragrance filled the cabin, whetting the appetite. Timing it carefully, Xianing lifted the steamer lid. Steam curled upward, revealing the tempting pale, yellow hue of goose meat brimming with juicy broth. Before long, 20 portions of steamed goose meat rice stood neatly arranged on the work counter. Oil, glistening rice had soaked up goose fat and steamed meat juices, looking mouth-watering at first glance. Xianing licked her lips and posted the goods directly to the trade zone. Then she sent a message in the global region chat channel. Rich Boss Xia, selling steamed goose meat rice times 20, chicken, pot rice times 2, 5 survival coins each, first come, first served. The moment the message went live, the chat channel, previously flooded with desperate cries, fell silent for 1 second before exploding into chaos. Whoa! Steamed goose, meat rice? 20 portions? Am I seeing things? Boss, where did you get so much food? 5 survival coins? That's outrageous. I've only saved up 2 in total, kind soul. I only have 3 survival coins. Can you sell me 1 portion? I'm starving to death. At the same time, Xianing's private messages blew up. She skimmed through them quickly. Most people either tried to haggle for cheap prices or begged for free handouts. One even resorted to moral manipulation, claiming that in this life, or death game, profiting off life, saving food was utterly shameful. Xianing nearly laughed out of anger and blocked that user right away. She had no desire to argue with self-righteous people who wanted valuable supplies for nothing. She turned back to the trade zone. All 22 servings had already sold out. That was incredibly fast. Xianing thought to herself. Though 5 survival coins was a huge sum for many players, quite a few participants obviously had plenty of wealth to spare. Whenever she came across more ingredients in the future, she could get rich this way through her own hard work. That sounded wonderful. Xianing withdrew her survival coins from the trade interface. The next second, a voice echoed inside her head. Global announcement: congratulations to Rich Boss Xia for becoming the first player to possess 100 survival coins. Exclusive title: Wealth Magnate awarded to this player. Wealth leaderboard is now unlocked. Xianing blinked in surprise. An unexpected bonus? She immediately checked the title. Title: Wealth Magnate. Rank: Unique. Description: granted to the first player across the whole region to collect 100 survival coins. Protected by financial fortune, all attributes plus 20. Whoa! Xianing gasped. The reward was brutally straightforward. A universal plus 20 attribute boost was no trivial matter. Unprecedented power surged through her body, and her thoughts drifted back to her ex-boyfriend. They had once quarreled over trivial matters. Drunk, that worthless man had raised his hand and slapped her hard across the face. The blow left her seeing stars and shattered her self-respect completely. That very moment, Xia Ning saw his true nature clearly and broke up with him without hesitation. If she had possessed such physical strength back then, she would never have dodged his blows. She could have fought back hard. Pulling her mind back to the present, she glanced at the wealth leaderboard. Unsurprisingly, she occupied first place with 145 survival coins, far ahead of everyone else. When she read the second place username, her brows drew tight. The second place ID was Wait for My Cola? Staring at that familiar name, Xia Ning let out a cold snort. Could this really be a coincidence? She opened her private message inbox, swamped with 99 plus unread messages. If it truly was her ex-boyfriend, he would definitely send probing messages upon seeing her screen name. She scrolled through piles of messages and found exactly what she expected. Wait for my cola, Xia Ning. Wait for my cola, it has to be you, baby. Please reply to me. Wait for my cola, don't be so cold-hearted, baby. We are both in region 8888 now. It must be fate. Rich boss, yeah. Stay as far away from me as you can. You'd better pray we never cross paths. Grumbling over this terrible coincidence, Xia Ning blocked him without delay. That scumbag had decent luck, landing second place with 26 survival coins. She shifted her gaze to the wealth leaderboard reward notes. Rankings finalized on the last day of every month. First place, times 10 random, quality treasure chests. Second place, times 5 random, quality treasure chests. Third place, times 3 random, quality treasure chests. Note, minimum green grade, maximum red grade. Higher, quality chests carry much lower drop probabilities. Daily rank, 1 privilege, send 3 full, region banner notifications. Monthly rewards? Xia Ning raised an eyebrow. Treasure chests were the most critical source of supplies within this highway survival game. To keep her leading advantage, she could no longer stick strictly to the 50-kilometer daily minimum travel distance. She needed to hurry onward, open more treasure chests, and earn more survival coins. There was a risk of running out of fuel, yet she possessed the lucky critical strike ability. As long as her luck held up, she should avoid ending up with more losses than gains. Another thought crossed her mind. If a wealth leaderboard existed, would combat power and mileage leaderboards also appear? Xia Ning narrowed her eyes. Based on her gaming experience, that was highly likely. Most players were still focused purely on staying alive, barely completing the mandatory 50-kilometer travel requirement each day. If she seized the chance to unlock and dominate other leaderboards before other players caught on. Her gaze hardened. She hurried back to the driver's seat and glanced at the fuel gauge. Roughly 100 liters of fuel remained, more than enough for over 300 kilometers of travel. It was just past 2 in the afternoon. She could finish her journey before nightfall. A smirk tugged at Xia Ning's lips. Time to hit the road and get lucky. Go, go, go. She shifted gears and drove off steadily, checking her personal stats panel. Player, Xia Ning, female, 23 years old. Server, Huaxia server, region 8888. Nickname, Rich Boss Xia. Vehicle, Touring Food Truck Level 1. Health value, 73 points. Strength, 41. Agility, 44. Stamina, 37. Overall combat power, 122. Backpack 19 slots, chicken, pot rice ×1, mineral water ×4, universal fuel ×20, iron ore ×50, versatile outfit ×9. Equipment, magic feather, versatile outfit. Title, wealth magnate. Achievement, lucky. Survival coins, 145. Xia Ning's eyes sparkled. She had gained so much in merely half a day. Next, she reviewed the upgrade requirements for her food truck. Required, iron ore ×50, wood planks ×50, leather ×50, components ×50, forging stone ×10, survival coins 500. Xia Ning's mood quickly soured. Only the iron ore condition was satisfied. She had never even laid eyes on the other materials. On top of that, the upgrade cost 500 survival coins. That was absurd. Xia Ning thought for a moment and messaged Little Magic Fart. Rich Boss Xia, what are your vehicle's upgrade requirements? Little Magic Fart replied quickly, Boss, I need iron ore ×10, wood planks ×10, leather ×10, components ×10, Battery times 10, survival coins 100. Xianing stroked her chin. Different vehicles demanded different materials and quantities for upgrades. Iron ore, wood planks, leather, and components, however, appeared to be core upgrade materials for most vehicles. Doing a quick mental calculation, her upgrade needed nearly 5 times as many resources as little magic farts. Especially forging stone, her intuition told her that item would be extremely hard to obtain. Xianing massaged her temples with a headache. Since she could not gather all the materials right now, she would take things slow. She opened the trade zone, hoping to find a decent weapon for self-defense. Even though the lucky achievement granted critical strike bonuses, opening chests also amplified risk. She would feel far safer carrying reliable hardware. Yet the trade zone looked rather bleak. Per game rules, only survival coins could be used for purchases here. The currency system remained immature, resulting in sparse listings and wildly unreasonable pricing. TSK, someone is asking for 25 survival coins just for a stone axe? Xianing frowned. She scrolled further down. A steel pipe sold for 38 survival coins? Xianing was speechless. Relying on the trade zone to buy weapons was not practical. She switched back to the global chat channel, where the atmosphere was completely different. Barter, trade requests flooded the screen. Direct item, for item exchange remained the main trading method for players. 2 bottles of mineral water for 1 loaf of bread. I'm desperate. Batteries for universal fuel, 1 for 1 DM me. 1 portion of universal fuel for 3 batteries. No haggling. Anyone with extra supplies? I can offer practical personal labor in exchange for 1 survival coin. Trading used daily. Wear clothing for a proper meal. Xianing browsed for quite a while, but no weapons or forging stones showed up. She resorted to her rank, 1 exclusive privilege. Global banner. Rich boss Xia, buying weapons and forging stones. Send offers via private message. No time, wasters. Trolls will be permanently blocked. The golden, special, effect banner floated persistently across the chat window. Whoa, a banner. This is what being the number 1 boss looks like. Rich boss Xia? That's the player selling steamed goose, meat rice. What in the world is a forging stone? Never heard of it. Wow, boss sounds intimidating. Are you a guy or a girl? Xianing skimmed the channel and switched back to private messages. Thanks to the rank, 1 prestige and eye-catching banner, most useless nuisance messages were avoided. A few foolish users sent harassing texts and got blocked immediately. Most correspondents sent legitimate price offers. Xianing read message after message, yet found nothing suitable. Either the weapons were too low grade, or the asking prices were far too high. 1 minute passed, the banner faded away, and few unread private messages remained. Just as Xianing gave up hope, an attached image caught her eye. The picture displayed a sleek, sharp Tang-style sword with a description below. Tang sword frost, blue, rank, green, attributes, agility +5, combat power +5%. Description, simply sharpened Tang sword, one of the dominant cold weapons of ancient times. It was an attribute, enhanced weapon with percentage-based bonuses, practically top tier for the current game phase. Xianing typed her reply, what do you want for it? Show LV classmate, boss, I'd like to give this sword to you for free. Xianing raised an eyebrow. Free? Nothing in this world is truly free. Show LV classmate hastened to explain, please don't misunderstand, boss. I have no hidden agenda. I only ask for 1 promise. If I ever run out of fuel, starve, or face other life-threatening emergencies, if you happen to be able to help at that time, I hope you could lend me a hand. Xianing stayed silent for 2 seconds. This player was honest and quite clever. By gifting the weapon, Xiao LV classmate bought a form of future insurance from the wealth-ranking top player. In this highway apocalypse, anything could happen. Assistance from a powerful boss might well save a person's life in a crisis. A faint smile curved Xianing's lips. Aren't you afraid I might go back on my word? Xiao LV classmate sent a scratching head emoji, then wrote, honestly, I am a little worried. But you're the number 1 boss, clearly capable. Going back on your word would ruin your reputation, and I believe you would not do that. Besides, a crisis that means total ruin for me might only be a trivial matter from your perspective. Xianing chuckled. His words were carefully thought out. She sent a friend request, which was instantly accepted. Let me make this clear. I promise to help if circumstances permit. I am not obligated to save you no matter what. Agree, and we complete the trade. Xiao LV classmate responded enthusiastically. Understood. Just having your word is more than enough. Xiao LV classmate initiated the trade and confirmed immediately. Xia Ning held the Tang sword, testing its weight, and was thoroughly satisfied. Armed with the blade, she felt much safer. Her combat power rose from 122 to 133. She stowed the Tang sword inside her backpack and hummed along with the vehicle's built in music. We search somewhere along the middle of this road. We get lost at both ends of this road. When dusk light paints everything in warm tones. Look how brilliant the golden glow shines. She drove for roughly 1 hour and spotted another white treasure chest. Parking the truck, she walked toward the chest with her Tang sword in hand. With a flick of her wrist, the sword tip pried open the chest lid. Congratulations, obtained compressed biscuit ×1, bandage ×2, survival coins ×2. Ding! Opening white treasure chest triggered lucky critical strike. Item quantity multiplied by 3. Xia Ning relaxed her shoulders and stored the supplies in her backpack. She kept the bandages for emergency use. The compressed biscuits were posted to the trade zone for 2 survival coins per serving. They sold quickly, earning her 6 extra survival coins. As dusk drew near, her fuel tank neared empty. Xia Ning's health value had dropped below 40 points. Her eyelids felt heavy. She shut off the engine and added 2 portions of universal fuel. She dared not overfill. Though theoretically only 1 player occupied each highway stretch, abnormal encounters could still happen. Her large tank needed 16 portions of universal fuel to fill completely. If thieves ambushed her, she would suffer huge losses. Xia Ning ate her remaining chicken, pot rice, and drank 1 bottle of mineral water, easing her hunger. She had traveled 370 kilometers that day. 3 unopened white treasure chests remained in her vehicle. She had been physically drained when discovering them, slowing her reflexes and stamina. If dangerous mutated creatures burst out from inside, she would be in serious trouble. She would open them tomorrow morning. After tidying up quickly and taking a shower, she switched her outfit to nightwear and lay down on her soft bed. Night fell outside. She prepared for a good night's sleep. The game rules did not forbid night-time driving, yet vision became heavily limited. Fatigue multiplied after dark, and health value regenerated far more slowly. Plenty of daylight lay ahead. There was no need to push herself recklessly. She slept soundly and woke at 8 the next morning. Stretching lazily, she felt fully refreshed. Sitting upright, her silk nightgown instantly transformed into comfortable casual home clothing. Ding! Daily meal production refreshed. Please select your meal set. Option 1. Spicy wontons ×5, iced sour plum drink ×5. Spicy, appetizing, cooling thirst, quenching beverage. Option 2. Black, pepper beef pasta ×5, fresh, brewed latte ×5. High energy, boosts mental alertness. Option 3. Seafood cheese risotto ×5, lemon sparkling water ×5. Balanced meat and vegetable nutrition. Xia Ning's mouth watered. Nothing beats spicy, savory wontons. Paired with icy sour, plum drink, it would be perfect. Ding! Production complete. Items placed on the work counter. Slipping on slippers, she walked into the kitchen. 5 servings of bright, red spicy wontons sat there, garnished with green chopped scallions and white sesame seeds, looking incredibly appetizing. After eating her fill, she checked her stats. Her health value had recovered to 98 points. Next, she checked the wealth leaderboard. Little had changed. She still ranked first with 157 survival coins. Wait for My Cola remained second, now holding 46 survival coins. Players ranked 3rd through 10th possessed between 30 to 40 survival coins. Xia Ning carried the 3 white treasure chests outside, holding her Tang sword to open them. Congratulations! Obtained wood planks ×2, milk ×1, survival coins ×1. Ding! Opening white treasure chest triggered lucky critical strike. Item quantity multiplied by 5. Congratulations! Obtained batteries ×2, instant noodles ×1, adhesive bandages ×5. Ding! Opening white treasure chest triggered lucky critical strike. Item quantity multiplied by 6. After opening the first 2 chests, Xia Ning rubbed her hands together. The extra 320 kilometers she had driven the previous day consumed 2 portions of universal fuel and yielded 4 treasure chests. Thanks to lucky critical strike, the resources from these 3 chests alone were worth at least 5 or 6 portions of fuel. Storing all loot in her backpack, she opened the 3rd treasure chest. Her smile froze on her face immediately. Warning. Hi, threat life form detected. Ding. Lucky critical strike triggered. Item quantity multiplied by 9. The treasure chest exploded violently. Accompanied by the grating scrape of chitin shells, 9 mutated centipedes appeared before Xianing. Jet black, their carapaces glinted with cold metallic light. Hundreds of tiny legs twitched rapidly. Sharp sickle-like fangs waved menacingly in the air. Xianing's scalp tingled, and goosebumps covered her skin. She could handle 2 large geese easily, yet 9 centipedes. On top of that, she had an innate phobia of multi-legged swarming creatures. The rustling, scraping sounds felt like countless steel needles dragging across asphalt. While Xianing hesitated, all 9 mutated centipedes charged straight toward her. Gripping her tang sword, she lost all desire for direct melee combat. She sprinted back to the driver's seat, shifting gears and accelerating in one fluid motion. The touring food truck reversed rapidly, tires screeching and leaving black skid marks across the asphalt. Once she gained enough distance, she slammed on the brakes. A wild grin spread across her face. Damn it, we're all fighting to survive. Go take it up with my vehicle's heavy-duty bumper. She shifted forward gear and slammed down on the gas. The heavy truck engine roared like a wild beast. The multi-ton vehicle surged forward, charging straight toward the horde of black centipedes. Crunch, squelch. Xianing barely felt any jolt, only a faint tremor passing through the chassis. Glancing in the rear view mirror, the ferocious centipedes had turned into dark smears on the road surface. A handful had narrowly escaped. She refused to let them get away. She reversed repeatedly, ruthlessly running down every last survivor. 1 minute later, Xianing stepped out and counted. Every single centipede lay dead. She inspected the truck's front bumper. It was only lightly soiled. A heavy-duty truck truly made physical disposal effortless. No matter how tough their shells were, a full throttle run over solved everything. Ding. Mutated poison centipede times 9 slain. Rewards, chitin wrist guard times 1, centipede venom times 9, survival coins 45. Chitin wrist guard. Rank, green. Description. Forged from centipede carapace. Provides moderate defense. Stamina plus 5. Centipede venom. Can be applied to weapons to inflict paralysis on targets. Talk about hitting the jackpot. Xianing grinned widely. This fight was an enormous gain. She earned 45 survival coins, plus green, great equipment, and poison crafting materials. Putting on the wrist guard, her stamina rose to 42 points. After sorting her backpack, she posted instant noodles and milk to the trade zone at 5 survival coins apiece. She kept 1 serving of each for lunch and dinner. She had been craving instant noodles for quite some time. After some consideration, she listed 4 sets of spicy wontons paired with iced sour plum drinks, priced at 10 survival coins per set. The price was high yet reasonable. Most players survived on biscuits, bread, and instant noodles. Hot spicy wontons paired with a cold drink counted as rare luxury supplies and would sell effortlessly. Sure enough, everything sold out within 3 minutes. Her survival coin balance climbed to 292. Little magic fart. Boss, do you have any more spicy wontons? I missed the sale, woo-woo. Rich boss, yeah, sold out. By the way, I'm trading 12 batteries for fuel. Interested? Little magic fart, currently driving her vehicle, felt her heart skip a beat upon reading the message. 12 batteries? Truly worthy of a top-tier player. She'd carefully opened 5 treasure chests in total, only getting 2 batteries plus some basic food supplies. The main reason she'd asked Xianing for more red oil wontons was how irresistibly appetizing they looked. Little Magic Fairy had been hesitating whether to buy some, only for them to get snatched up before she could act. Boss, I really want them. 12 batteries would last me well over half a month. But I can't afford that much. I only have 1 vial of universal fuel. Xianing smiled casually. 3 batteries for your vial of fuel, how's that? I'll go post in the global chat channel for the rest. Poop, dropping Little Magic Fairy. Thank you so much, boss. Over in the global chat, people were trading batteries for fuel at rates of 2, 2, 1 and 3, 2, 1. The boss was offering a generous rate, going out of her way to help her out. Once the trade finished, Xianing opened the global chat channel. The server-wide banner should be put to good use. She'd wasted 2 of them the day before without using them. Server-wide banner, Rich Boss Xia, 9 batteries in exchange for 3 portions of universal fuel. Also seeking forging stones. The moment this glowing golden banner popped up, the channel exploded with activity. Whoa! How many chests has this boss opened? She got 9 batteries in just one day. Boss, yeah, please have mercy and give me 1 battery. I can't finish today's 50-kilometer driving quest, /crying. What even are forging stones anyway? The boss has been asking for them for 2 days straight, wow. Boss, yeah, your red oil wontons are absolutely delicious. I've never tasted anything so authentic. Xia Ning skimmed through the messages, feeling somewhat disappointed. Just as she'd suspected, forging stones were extremely hard to come by. So far, not a single message mentioned them at all. What troubled her most was that upgrading her vehicle required 10 of them right away. And further upgrades would likely demand even more. A few minutes later, Xia Ning obtained 3 portions of universal fuel. Fortunately, identical items in her backpack could stack, otherwise she would have run out of storage space. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Xia Ning set off for her day's journey. When her total mileage was nearly hitting 500 kilometers, she spotted a building up ahead. A service station? Xia Ning blinked in stunned surprise. Should she go in? Would it be dangerous? The game rules had never mentioned any service stations. What will be, will be. Since she was already here, she might as well check it out. After a brief moment of internal debate, Xia Ning hit the gas and her food truck smoothly pulled off the main road. The closer she drew to the service station, the more astonished she grew. It was practically a small fortified city. Gray, white high walls stretched as far as the eye could see, built from some unknown material that glinted with a cold hard sheen under the blazing sun. The main gate stood over 10 meters tall, blending ancient styling with jarring cyberpunk touches. Through the car windows, she could see rows upon rows of buildings inside, even neon-lit shopping malls and hotels. Xia Ning tightened her grip on the steering wheel, slowed the car down to a crawl, and cautiously drove into the spacious parking lot. Server-wide announcement: congratulations to Rich Boss Xia for being the first player to reach 500 kilometers of driving mileage. Rewarding the player with the exclusive title, Trailblazer of Mileage. Mileage leaderboard has officially opened. Service station has been unlocked. Xia Ning clenched her fists in excitement. Her guess had been correct. There really was a mileage leaderboard. Title: Trailblazer of Mileage Rank. Unique description: awarded to the first player across the server to drive 500 kilometers. Hard work does not go unrewarded. Plus 10% treasure. Chest spawn chance. Yes! Xia Ning's eyes lit up. This title had an incredible bonus. Combined with her lucky crit buff, it was an overpowered combo. She then read the reward notes. Just like the wealth leaderboard rewards, rankings would be finalized at the end of each month. Currently sitting in second place was a player with 385 kilometers driven. As soon as Xia Ning stepped out of her vehicle, a nearly 2-meter tall beast man strode toward her with a wide grin. He had the imposing golden head of a tiger, with a clear king marking etched across his forehead. Yet he wore crisp human formal wear, a necktie, black suit trousers, and polished leather shoes. Dear valued guest, welcome to Yinhu's service station. The tiger-headed beastman bowed low. His intimidating tiger head drew uncomfortably close to Xia Ning's face. He then held out his huge furry tiger paw in a gesture of invitation. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the BA here. You may call me Little Tiger. Xia Ning relaxed a little. At least there was no immediate danger. Little Tiger looked somewhat comical and endearing in his odd get-up, especially with his fluffy, thick tiger tail swishing back and forth behind his suit pants. Xia Ning fought the urge to reach out and grab it and asked instead, first question: do I have to pay for parking here? Little Tiger gave a simple, honest smile. Rest assured, valued guest. Parking within Yinhu service station's lot is completely free. Our core principle is to let you spend your survival coins on things that truly matter. He stepped sideways, his fluffy tail brushing lightly against Xia Ning's waist, sending a tickling sensation over her. Little Tiger gestured deep into the service station as he spoke. That neon-drenched building you see is our 5-star Fierce Tiger Grand Hotel. Top floor suites with an open, air-heated swimming pool cost only 288 survival coins per night, breakfast included. The adjacent food street serves all kinds of cuisines. Further back are entertainment venues guaranteed to keep you thoroughly occupied. Xia Ning followed his gaze. The interior was lavishly decorated. Escalators ran smoothly, and beastman attendants in uniforms moved to and fro. If she hadn't known she was trapped in a road survival game, she would have thought she'd wandered into a top-tier resort. Tisk, she followed Little Tiger on the tour, glancing at price signs along the way, and the corners of her mouth kept twitching. A single grilled sausage cost 20 survival coins. A plate of egg fried rice was priced at 38. Even a bottle of mineral water went for 15 coins. This was no ordinary service station. It was a money-burning den. Even as the richest player on the server, she could barely afford anything here. Xianing thought of her own menu. Steamed goose rice sold for 5 coins, and her red oil wonton set went for 10. By comparison, she was practically a charitable saint, the most fair-minded merchant around. After walking the whole area, she felt utterly poor. This place was bad for one's mental state. She needed to leave. Having made up her mind, Xianing turned to head back toward her truck to resume her journey. Little Tiger, this place is really nice, but I still have 50 kilometers left for my daily quest, so dear guest, I'm afraid you cannot leave just yet. Little Tiger smiled and blocked her path. Service stations follow their own rules. Every player who enters must clear a dungeon mission before they are permitted to drive out again. Do not worry. While inside the service station, you get a 7-day grace period, and the mandatory daily 50-kilometer driving requirement is suspended. Xianing froze. Staring at Little Tiger's tiger head, his honest-looking grin now seemed shrewd and cunning. Could you tell me more details about this dungeon? Xianing slipped 10 survival coins discreetly into his suit pocket. Little Tiger's vertical pupils crinkled into happy slits, and his tail flicked about. You've come to the right person, honored guest. Dungeon objectives are fully randomized, entirely down to luck. Xianing stared and waited. Nearly a minute passed. That's all. Little Tiger, that's all. Xianing's mouth twitched. She held out her hand. Give me back my survival coins. Little Tiger quickly covered his pocket. Dungeon content is random by design. I have no way of knowing what yours will be. Xianing pressed him. I asked for detailed information. He glanced around furtively and lowered his voice. Generally speaking, they are survival-type missions. Let me give you an example. Once you enter the dungeon, you might end up working as hotel staff or a food street vendor. You could also be a housekeeper or a server at one of the entertainment spots. Basically, you take on service-oriented roles. Complete your assigned tasks properly and you earn payment. If you receive complaints from employers or guests, your pay will be docked for minor offenses. Severe violations will get you dismissed outright. And if you run into someone with a bad temper who isn't satisfied with your service, well, things can turn ugly. Serious bodily harm is not out of the question. Little Tiger paused, a hint of mischief glinting in his eyes. For us players, the worst case outcome is being dismissed. If you get expelled from the dungeon, it means certain death. Still, risk comes paired with opportunity. The employers here are extremely wealthy. Perform well, and generous tips are to be expected. Xianing's eyelids twitched. There were no other options available to her. Fine. I'll take on the dungeon challenge now. Little Tiger's grin widened. From his suit pocket, he pulled out a brass token carved with a lopsided character, "Een." May fortune smile upon you, honored guest. The second his voice faded, Xianing's vision blurred, and all the opulent surroundings vanished. When she opened her eyes again, she stood inside a vast living room. Thick hide carpets covered the floor, and a giant chandelier made of animal bones hung overhead. The walls were lined with heavy-looking weapons. So, you are the new private tutor? A deep, rumbling voice laced with impatience echoed through the room. Xianing looked up. Standing nearly 3 meters tall was a bare beast man covered in thick dark, brown fur, dressed in a silk-trimmed satin robe. He lounged on a sofa the size of a small hill, holding a goblet of honey wine, his fierce eyes sizing her up, full of skepticism toward this frail human. Huddled in the shadow of his massive frame was a somewhat smaller bear cub picking his nose without a shred of decorum. He wiped the result carelessly onto the leather sofa, then grabbed a gold-trimmed vase and began kicking it around like a ball with a loud clang. Xianing, a tutor assignment. And a trouble-making bear cub. The bear father slammed his goblet down hard, spilling honey wine across the surface. He boomed in a gruff voice, I am Xiangbation. This little rascal is Xiangdan. The previous tutors I hired either got their faces scratched up by him or were scared out of their wits. None of them could handle the job. I'll lay it out straight. Daily pay is 100 survival coins. Take it or leave it. Xianing frowned. She could not turn this down. To quit right now would count as failing the dungeon. She would be trapped inside the service station. And once the 7-day grace period ended, failing the 50-kilometer quest would amount to a death sentence. What are my teaching assignments? Xianing asked. Xiangbeixian pointed toward Xiongdan. First, teach him the code of etiquette. Stop him behaving like an unruly brat. Second, teach him basic counting and literacy. He still cannot even write his own name. Xianing's gaze returned to Xiongdan. The cub stuck out his tongue and pulled a mocking face at her. Xianing was never one to indulge misbehaving children, especially dangerous ones. As she was thinking of how to complete the dungeon mission, the communication device hanging from Xiangbeixian's waist blared loudly. After a moment, Xiangbeixian roared in fury. What? A bunch of reckless pests. Just wait for me to get there. Listen up, human. Xiangbeixian rose abruptly and lowered his head. Fierce rage twisted his bare features and warm, rank breath washed over Xianing's face. For the next 7 days, the cub is entirely in your care. If anything happens to him, do not expect mercy when I return. With that, the air around him shifted, and he strode away with heavy thudding steps. The massive door boomed shut. Now only Xianing and Xiongdan remained in the lavish living room. The moment his father left, a crafty glint flashed across Xiongdan's eyes. He flopped onto the sofa just like Xiangbeixian, kicking his short, thick legs up in the air. Hey, human. Xiongdan closed his eyes and patted his own thighs with furry paws. In a childish yet commanding tone he ordered, come over and massage my legs. He tilted his head smugly as he spoke, a little trail of saliva dripping from his mouth, looking both arrogant and ridiculous. Have you got this all wrong? Xianing folded her arms instead of moving, a faint mischievous smile tugging at her lips. Xiangbeixian would be gone for 7 whole days. She held the upper hand right now. Xianing flipped her wrist, and her frost-edged Tang's sword appeared in her palm, its blade angled toward the ground. Xiongdan flinched. This human was different from all the previous ones. She was not afraid of him at all. He jumped to his feet with a yelp. Though only half a human's height, he was already powerfully built. Xiongdan waved his furry fists, trying to sound menacing despite his childish voice. You dare threaten me. Put that metal blade down. If you can beat me bare-handed, I'll obey you. Otherwise, I'll tell my father and he'll turn you into mincemeat. Xianing raised an eyebrow, studying the cub. Beneath his fur lay solid muscle, and his strength was nothing to underestimate. A straight-up brawl was out of the question. She knew her limits. Xianing's eyes darted. She would have to outsmart him. Bare-handed? She stowed her Tang sword back into her backpack and lifted her chin. Fine. But we need to set ground rules first. Drawing out her words, Xianing sauntered slowly toward the tea table. With her back turned to Xiongdan, she quietly mixed centipede venom into a water jug. Stay away. That's my honey water. You can't drink it. Xiongdan hurried over, snatched the jug, and gulped down several big mouthfuls straight from the spout. Xiongdan smacked his lips, planted his paws on his hips, and shouted. Hey, stop dawdling. What are these ground rules you're talking about? Spit it out. Xianing smiled faintly, intentionally stalling for time. First rule, you're a young male bear. We may fight, but no crying and no running to tattle. Puh. I never cry. Xiongdan huffed, full of disdain. He had never lost a fight against a human before. More than one had trembled in fear of him. Second rule, Xianing chuckled. As a male bear, you must keep your word and honor your promises. TCH, obviously. Xiongdan's voice grew noticeably weaker, and his short legs began shifting restlessly. Xianing's lips curved. The poison should be taking effect. She held up a third finger. Third rule, if you lose, you obey my orders without excuses or complaints. Do you understand? I get it. Quit rambling. Xiongdan's expression turned listless, numbness spreading over his body. All right, let's begin. Xianing wasted no time. She pushed off the ground and leaped. Watch this. This punch will look awesome. Xiongdan's eyes widened in panic. He tried to dodge, yet his body refused to respond. His limbs felt weighed down by lead, heavy and tingling with numbness. Not only was his body stiff, his thoughts grew foggy and slow. The next instant, her full, force fist landed squarely against his wet nose. Xiongdan was knocked backward by the blow and thudded heavily onto the thick carpet, completely losing his balance. A wood dash. The delayed pain cut through the numbness, and Xiongdan let out a deafening wail. His black nose swelled instantly like a ripe strawberry. Hot streams of nosebleed mixed with saliva streamed down his face in a most undignified manner. Wah, it hurts so bad, you hit me, wah. When my dad comes back, you're done for. Xia Ning shook out her fist and squatted down beside him, resting her cheek in one hand. She waited until his crying died down a little before holding out a tissue. Enough of the wailing. We agreed on ground rules, remember? No crying and no toddling. Xia Ning leaned closer and spoke softly with a smile. Look at you. You're crying and making threats. Are you going back on your word? I wasn't feeling well just now, so that doesn't count. Xiongdan blinked his tear-filled eyes, still defiant. The frost-edged sword reappeared in Xia Ning's hand, pressing lightly against Xiongdan's neck. No excuses allowed. Are you planning to break our deal? Cold sharpness against his throat jolted Xiongdan's muddled mind clear. His rage and spoiled arrogance faded away, replaced by sober wariness. A faint smile crossed Xia Ning's eyes, though the blade never moved. Well? Speak. Are you going to renege? Xiongdan carefully pushed the blade away with his padded paws. I'll listen to you. No tattling, no breaking the deal. He paused, his tone subdued and earnest. Human sister, please put the sword away. This bear is scared. Only then did Xia Ning slowly retract her sword. She reached over and patted the top of Xiongdan's head. That's much better. From now on, you follow my schedule. Morning hours are for literacy and arithmetic. Afternoons are for etiquette lessons, proper posture, speech, and conduct, among other things. She paused and smiled. Of course, there will be rewards for good behavior. Xiongdan's ears twitched with curiosity. What kind of rewards? You'll find out soon enough. Xia Ning glanced at the time, keeping it a secret for now. Then she gave him an assignment. Your first task, clean up this living room. Xia Ning glanced at the wreck-strewn living room, then at the bear cub. Though still resentful, he no longer dared lash out. She nodded in satisfaction. Since you've agreed to clean up, get to work. I'm heading to the kitchen to find something to eat. As she turned away, Bear Cub shook his tiny fist silently at her back, venting his frustration. What's so great about you? Just wait till father gets back. While grumbling to himself, he reluctantly began picking up the shattered vase shards he had knocked over. Meanwhile, Xia Ning had stepped into the kitchen. Floor, 2 ceiling cabinets held nothing but beef. To the left hung premium A5 style beef ribs, deep red with snow, white marbling. To the right stacked textured knuckle and shoulder cuts. Large dark chunks of dry, aged beef dangled in the curing section. Xia Ning raised an eyebrow. No wonder the two of them were so heavily built. They ate beef every single day. She helped herself to a beautifully marbled rack of ribs. With a cleaver, she cleanly trimmed away excess connective tissue. A heavy cast iron pan went onto the stove, and a lump of beef fat was tossed in to grease it. The moment it sizzled, rich fatty aroma burst forth. Xia Ning laid the thick, cut steaks into the pan. High heat locked in juices instantly, searing the surfaces deep brown. She tilted and swirled the pan. Once both sides formed crispy crusts, she turned down the flame. Next, she added garlic cloves and rosemary, repeatedly spooning hot butter over the meat. In the living room, Bear Cub, clumsily tidying up, suddenly froze. His nose twitched uncontrollably. What's that smell? It smells amazing. He turned his head toward the kitchen. A loud gurgle rumbled from his throat. Dropping his cleaning tools, he scurried over on short stubby legs. His nose nearly touched the hot pan. Hey human, what delicious thing is this? What did you call me? Xia Ning flipped the steak steadily, fragrant rosemary, infused fumes filling the air. Bear Cub's claws gripped the edge of the counter. His eyes were glued to the juicy, sizzling steak, and his stomach growled loudly. His bravado deflated at once. Sister, I can't hear you. Xia Ning moved the seared steak aside to rest and retain juices, then tossed chopped wild mushrooms into the leftover pan grease. Another wave of savory scent flooded the room. Sister, Bear Cub shouted, cheeks flushed with embarrassment and hunger. Can I have a bite of that meat? Just one bite. Xia Ning glanced toward the living room. Not until the living room is spotless. Bear Cub darted back, cleared away every scrap as fast as he could, then trotted back, paws clinging to the counter, eyes wide and pleading. Sister, it's clean. A faint smile tugged at Xia Ning's lips. She sliced the rusted steak into suitable pieces. Good. Go sit at the dining table. Bear Cub obediently climbed onto a chair, brimming with anticipation. Xia Ning set the plate before him along with a small fork. First lesson: table manners. Remember, use your fork to bring steak to your mouth. No grabbing with paws, and don't bury your face in the plate. Oh, okay. Bear Cub nodded wildly. Clutching the fork awkwardly, he speared the biggest piece and stuffed it straight into his mouth. Hot meat juices mingled with seared, garlic, and rosemary flavors exploded across his tongue. Every strand of fur on Bear Cub stood on end, his eyes lighting up like bulbs. So good. Xia Ning swiftly pulled most of the plate out of his reach. I hadn't finished speaking before you started eating. She arched an eyebrow under his eager gaze. When food is served, elders eat first. And when taking food from a shared plate, take only from your side. Grabbing the largest piece straight away is rude. She tapped his paw as it crept toward the food. Did you hear what I said? Bear Cub looked dejected. Sister, I remember. After demonstrating proper etiquette, Xia Ning pushed the plate back. When the last bite of steak was gone, Bear Cub stared at her, clearly still hungry. Sister, I'm still full of appetite. Xia Ning's mouth twitched. She had forgotten something important. Even as a cub, he was a bear. She had cooked portions meant for 2 grown adults. She paused. What do you normally eat? How much can you consume? Bear Cub licked the edge of his plate and waved a paw vaguely. Usually 10 gene of beef a day. Father just pulls it straight out of storage and I eat it raw. He smacked his lips nostalgically. I've never tasted beef this wonderful. You're amazing. But there wasn't nearly enough. Xia Ning gave an apologetic smile and started reasoning with him gently. Bear Cub, remember what I told you? What you ate was a reward. Rewards don't come non-stop. Still smiling, she cut another 3 to 4 gene of ribs and set them before him. Bear Cub sniffed it, but his eyes dimmed. He had no interest in raw meat. I want the fragrant cooked kind you made. That depends on how well you behave, Xia Ning winked. Only well-behaved little bears get that treat. Over the next few days, Bear Cub underwent a complete transformation. Lured by tasty food, he learned to write his own name and count all the way to 100. Table manners were deeply ingrained. Before meals, he would rest his paws neatly on the table, waiting for Xia Ning's permission before touching his fork. Xia Ning spared no effort, varying the dishes daily: beef and tomato soup one day, charcoal, grilled skewers the next. The cub became utterly disciplined. He had completely forgotten his earlier threat to let his father deal with her. Midday on the 7th day, Bear Cub was slurping Xia Ning's beef and potato stew, vowing to be the world's best-behaved little bear. When the villa door crashed open, a harsh, heavy gust swept inside. Xiang Batian stepped in, covered in blood. He drove 2 blood-stained battle axes into the floor. The crystal chandelier rattled violently. His fierce bear eyes scanned the room, and he froze. The human tutor was completely unharmed. Xia Ning cleared her throat calmly and gestured toward the entrance. Bear Cub, don't you see your father is home? Bear Cub set down his bowl, scrambled off his chair, and hurried over. He stood straight, paws folded neatly over his belly, head bowed low, his round chin nearly touching his chest. Father, welcome home. You must be tired from your journey. This polished sequence stunned Xiang Batian. He looked at the living room, the dining table, then his own son. He scratched his ear. What did you just say? In the old days, Bear Cub would barely grunt a greeting, never mind utter words of concern. Yet now the cub bowed properly, voice earnest and soft. Father, sister says you ought to greet returning elders and hold yourself upright. You smell of blood. Have you been fighting foes? Are you worn out? I'll draw you a bath. With that he scurried toward the bathroom. Xiang Batian was utterly dumbfounded, watching the cub clumsily turn taps and test water temperature. For a moment he doubted whether this was truly his child. He turned toward Xia Ning, staring at her as if she were a deity. Miss Xie. His voice shook with excitement. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Before this, Bear Cub would have peed in my bathwater instead of drawing one for me. He watched his son's small back in the bathroom, moved almost to tears. Xia Ning smiled gently. Bear Cub is bright and good-natured. I've finished the task you assigned. It is time for me to leave. Xiang Batian nodded. I am thoroughly satisfied. Sister, don't go. Bear Cub rushed over instantly, paws still damp, clinging tightly to Xia Ning's leg. Tears welled up at once. Father, make sister stay. Xiang Batian pried him loose and soothed him. Bear Cub, be good. Miss Xie's contract is fulfilled. She has to depart. Miss Xia, thank you for enduring my son these past 7 days. Please accept this token of gratitude. Ding. Side quest, Bear Clan Tutor, completed. Perfect. Base reward, Survival Coin * 700. Bonus gift from Xiang Batian, Survival Coin * 1000. Xia Ning rejoiced inwardly. Xiang Batian was truly generous. Her total of 1,700 survival coins greatly boosted her fortune. Then Xiang Batian carefully held out a pitch, black pill. Please take this as another small gift. Xia Ning's eyes widened. An extra reward? She accepted it without pretense. Thank you, Brother Xiang. You are most welcome. Xiang Batian ruffled Bear Cub's fur. Bear Cub, say goodbye to Miss Xia. Bear Cub sniffled and ran into the bedroom. Moments later, he pressed an iron tin box into her hands. Sister, this is for you. Tears glistened in his eyes. Honey jar fruit. It's very sweet. I wouldn't even give any to father. Eat it so you won't get hungry on your travels. Please come visit me sometime, okay? Xia Ning's heart softened. She knelt and kissed the top of his furry head. I accept your gift. You are such a good cub. I promise I will come back to see you. Her figure gradually turned translucent and vanished from the opulent living room. The next instant she was back inside her travel food truck. Afternoon sunlight glared through the windows. She glanced outside. Instances ran in isolation. No trading or chat access was possible inside. Over these 7 days, the Inhu service area parking lot had changed. Countless vehicles were packed tightly together. Xia Ning checked her status panel and confirmed her health value, then pulled out the pill Xiang Batian had given her. Reading its description, she drew a sharp breath. Bear Clan Strength Pill. Instantly boosts strength by 500 points, lasts 10 seconds. Powerful. Extremely powerful. Though brief, it could save her life in a crisis. Next she examined the honey jar fruit Bear Cub had given her, and was shocked once more. Honey jar fruit. Rank. Purple. Description. Specialty of Inhu's service area. Grown drawing earth essence and bear, clan vitality. Effect. Fully restores health points and heals all bodily injuries. Note. Even with severed limbs and near-death condition, eating one will leave you fit and mobile again. That little cub, Xia Ning thought fondly of him. Just as she prepared to drive away, she spotted a suspicious figure in the rear view mirror. A young man in a grimy hoodie crept along behind her truck, staying in shadow. Unaware someone sat inside, he worked with a tube leading to a plastic bucket on the ground. Glancing nervously over his shoulder repeatedly, he muttered excitedly, "Who would have thought I could keep doing my old tricks in this game? Hey, what are you doing?" Xia Ning frowned and climbed out quickly. The young man jumped. The tube clattered onto pavement. He spun around. Panic flashed across his face upon seeing Xia Ning. Regaining composure and seeing only one young woman, he grew bold. Instead of fleeing, he bared yellowed teeth, drawing a dagger and twirling it in his hand. Can't you tell? I'm borrowing some of your fuel. Xia Ning kept her hands in her cargo, pant pockets, and looked down at him. Put the fuel back and I'll overlook this. The young man laughed as if she had told a joke. A delicate-looking girl threatening him? Did she still think she lived in a peaceful world? His gaze lingered greedily on her exposed lower leg. How about you come into the truck with me, and I'll return your fuel. Xia Ning regarded him coolly as if observing a fool. Don't bring ruin on yourself. Leave now while you still can. He scoffed. Standing nearly 1.8 meters tall and weighing 160 gene, his combat stat hit over 90. Surely he could handle one delicate-looking girl. Greed overcame reason. He advanced, dagger raised. Quit bluffing. Cooperate, or you'll regret it. As he closed in, Xia Ning felt no fear, only cold bemusement. This game was not merely a fight for supplies, it pressed human nature to its breaking point. When he drew near enough, her hand shot out from her pocket. Cold steel flashed. Squelch. The dagger clanged to ground. The smirk had not yet faded from the young man's face when utter horror took hold. He stared down in disbelief. His dagger, wielding wrist had been cleanly severed. Blood did not gush at once, the cut was perfectly smooth. Half a second later searing agony crashed over him, and he screamed shrilly. My hand! My hand! He stumbled backward, crashed against the truck, and collapsed onto the ground, writhing in pain. Xia Ning held her tang, style sword steady, its blade spotless. Cold light glinted off her impassive features. I gave you your chance. She stepped forward, pressed her boot against his fallen dagger, flipped it upward, caught it and tossed it into her backpack. Snot and tears streamed down the young man's face as he begged desperately. "Don't kill me. I was wrong. I'll put your fuel back. I can give supplies, give survival coins." Xianing gave a cold laugh. "Killing you yields the same result. I leave no dangerous loose ends." In the next moment, his head rolled onto the pavement. She sheathed her sword and picked up his backpack. 47 universal fuel canisters, 56 batteries. He had clearly robbed many others. Now all of it belonged to her. Among miscellaneous junk were 3 ration packs, 2 bottles of water, 1 moldy loaf of bread and 53 survival coins. Xia Ning returned the stolen fuel to her truck and climbed back inside. The truck system chimed. Ding. Daily menu refreshed. Please select food output. Option 1, sour, soup dumpling ×5, iced mung bean paste ×5. Option 2, black, pepper beef brown rice bowl ×5, C, salt lemon sparkling water ×5. Option 3, coconut mango sticky rice ×5, mango pomelo sago ×5. She chose option 2. All miscellaneous loot went into the trade zone. Then she cooked the leftover spicy instant noodles she had brought before entering the instance. It tasted wonderful. She drank every drop of broth, sighing contentedly. Sitting behind the wheel, she opened the wealth leaderboard. With 2183 survival coins, she held first place. Second place belonged to a player named Alone, with 2006 survival coins. A sense of urgency stirred in Xianing. She then checked the mileage board and felt worse. She had dropped to over rank 2000. The top player had driven more than 3,000 kilometers. Truly cutthroat. Did some players pass service areas without stopping? Or did their instances last far less time? Xianing started her truck and messaged Little Magic Fairy, who poops. Boss Xia with money. Hi there, Little Magic Fairy replied right away. Wow. You're alive. That's such great news. Boss Xia with money. Little Magic Fairy was behind the wheel, laughing as she replied, That's not what I meant, I just haven't seen you in the chat channel these past few days. I sent you private messages and you never replied, so I thought something bad might have happened to you. Xianing blinked her eyes. I was stuck inside a dungeon for 7 days and just got out. 7 days? No wonder, my dungeon only lasted 1 day. Oh right, big shot, I've got a forging stone here. Xianing's eyes lit up. Where did you get a forging stone? From the dungeon. I worked as a miner, it was my mission reward. Unsure of the forging stone's actual value, Xianing asked tentatively, I don't really have anything good to trade with you. How much do you want for it? Little Magic Fairy thought for a moment. How about 50 survival coins, big shot? She had spent 16 hours working inside the one-day dungeon and had nearly collapsed from exhaustion. Doing the math roughly, 50 survival coins for a day's work didn't seem like too much. Xianing agreed without hesitation and sent a trade request right away. After confirming that the dull, gray stone with faint metallic glimmers was indeed the forging stone, she immediately opened the public chat channel. Server, wide banner, Boss Xia with money, buying forging stones. Planks, leather, components. Send private offers, no time, wasters. The golden banner with dazzling special effects flashed across every player's screen once again. Huh? Boss Xia is #1 on the wealth leaderboard again? She wasn't there this morning. I've been watching for days. Her wealth and mileage never changed. She must have been trapped in an extremely difficult dungeon. Just now, right this second, Boss Xia's wealth shot up by over 1,700. Discussions flooded the channel, and Xianing's private message inbox was nearly blowing up. Instead of replying one at once, she filtered through the messages first and traded with those offering the lowest prices. Using those rates as benchmarks, she haggled with other sellers. Players making outrageous demands, such as 300 survival coins for a single forging stone, got blocked directly. Ding. Trade successful. Obtained forging stone ×1. Ding. Trade successful. Obtained plank ×10. System notifications chimed non-stop. Whenever she encountered reasonable players with large stockpiles, she would say, Add me as a friend. Let's keep cooperating long term. In merely 10 minutes, she gathered all the materials required for vehicle upgrades. She already owned 10 planks, so she bought another 40, spending 80 survival coins. 50 pieces of leather cost her 60 survival coins. 50 components set her back 70 survival coins. As for forging stones, the average price came out to 30 survival coins apiece, and she also gave away 8 barrels of universal fuel in the deals. Xianing glanced at the wealth leaderboard. Plans really could change in the blink of an eye. Spending 510 survival coins on supplies dropped her straight down to 3rd place. Upgrading the vehicle would cost another 500 survival coins. She might not even stay within the top 100. She could only hope the level 2 vehicle would bring worthwhile surprises. For safety, Xianing finished her daily 50-kilometer driving target before stopping the car. She took the supplies out of her backpack and laid them neatly on the food truck's spacious countertop. She double-checked the upgrade requirements: iron ore times 50, planks times 50, leather times 50, components times 50, forging stone times 10, 500 survival coins. Upgrade vehicle. The instant she gave the command, the carriage plunged into sudden darkness. A powerful mechanical hum rumbled up from underneath the chassis. The whole food truck shook violently, yet held steady, restrained by some powerful stabilizing force. Piles of materials lifted off the surface, swirling into a fast, spinning vortex around the truck. Iron ore melted into glowing red molten metal. Planks broke down into wood fibers and wove themselves back together. Leather stretched and set into shape, while components locked into one another. The 10 forging stones burst with brilliant radiance, fusing everything together perfectly like powerful binding agents. Upgrade progress: 1%, 30%, 79%, 100%. Boom! After a deep, muffled roar, all shaking ceased. The already huge touring food truck expanded nearly 1 meter outward all around. Its sharp original contours turned solid and heavy, resembling a steel behemoth crouching on the highway. A hemispherical multi-purpose observation tower rose from its formerly flat roof. It was fitted with a high-definition thermal imaging telescope and a set of LED searchlights. Ding! Vehicle upgrade complete. Level 2 vehicle features unlocked: energy optimization, thunder engine, advanced auto, cooking. Xianing's eyes sparkled. Show detailed descriptions for the new functions. Energy optimization. Fuel efficiency of the level 2 food truck increases by 50%. Unladen fuel consumption drops from the original 30 L per 100 kilometers down to 18 L. Thunder engine. Boosted power output. Top speed can easily reach 300 kilometers per hour. Advanced auto, cooking. Instead of choosing 1 out of 3 dishes daily, 3 random dishes are produced and total output doubles. Xianing grinned widely, her mouth stretching almost ear to ear. Fuel consumption nearly halved. That was amazing. The thunder engine would be perfect for long-distance travel. As for advanced auto, cooking, her daily meal output jumped from 5 portions all the way to 30. Xianing felt satisfied. Even though the upgrade cost plenty of materials, the performance boost was absolutely outstanding. She checked her backpack. She still held 61 units of fuel, good for roughly 17,000 kilometers of travel. Next, she read the requirements for the following vehicle upgrade. Iron ore, planks, leather, and components were still needed, but each material requirement jumped to 200 units. On top of that, she needed 6 explosion-proof tire blueprints, 6 bullet-proof glass blueprints, 20 fine steel, 20 manganese steel, 50 forging stones, and 5,000 survival coins. Xianing scratched her head. That was a steep demand. Upgrading again would be out of the question for quite some time. Returning to the driver's seat, Xianing pressed the gas pedal all the way down. The thunder engine let out a deep, powerful growl. The massive vehicle surged forward with unexpected ferocious acceleration, blowing past 200 kilometers per hour in an instant. Scenery outside blurred into streaks. Steering with one hand, she pressed her tongue against her back molars. She intended to reclaim first place on the mileage leaderboard. Cruising steadily at 300 kilometers per hour, the thermal imaging telescope automatically scanned the highway ahead. 10 minutes later, a green dot appeared on the screen, a white treasure chest. Xianing slowed down in advance, and the food truck pulled up precisely beside it. Congratulations! Obtained components times 6, leather times 5, backpack times 1. Ding! Opening white treasure chest triggered lucky critical bonus. Item quantities multiplied by 8. Xianing stored the loot. Her backpack expanded to 27 slots, and she kept driving onward. She only stopped at 7 o'clock in the evening. Xianing calculated she had driven for more than 6 hours, covering 1,700 kilometers. Her health value had fallen to 40 points. Still, the day's harvest was rich. Thanks to the long distance traveled and her mileage pioneer title, she had looted 25 treasure chests in total. Unfortunately, all of them were white grade. 2 were empty, and 3 spawned wild beasts when opened. Critical multipliers were mostly low today, ranging from 2-fold to 5-fold. With only 27 backpack slots and so many different supplies, she could not fit everything, so she stacked surplus items inside the truck cabin. She ate a simple meal of eggs and milk and sorted through her haul. Useful items stayed. Useless goods went straight to the trade market. To sell them faster, Xianing took a photo and posted it to the public chat. Boss Xia with money, image/clearance sale. Check the trade market if you need supplies. The previously quiet chat channel exploded instantly. Whoa. Am I seeing things? 86 compressed biscuits? 108 bottles of mineral water? 99 batteries? 32 meat buns? 25 eggs? 36 cartons of milk? 81 instant noodle packs? 20 cans, 19 sausages? And more than 10 different weapons. Good heavens. Truly the big shot. Did she rob a service station supermarket? Something feels off. How can one person gather this much loot? How many chests must she have opened? Life is unfair. I ride my bicycle until I'm worn out and barely get enough to eat each day. At Boss Xia with money, big shot. Can I join your crew? I'm great at cheering you on. /crying cat emoji. Looking for universal fuel. Sob. Some creep siphoned my tank at the service station. Ugh. I just got out of a dungeon and all my batteries are gone. Who stole them, damn it? Xianing lay on her large bed under cool air conditioning, legs propped up lazily. More and more players complained in chat about missing universal fuel and batteries. Some even started suspecting Xianing was the culprit. She touched the tip of her nose. She could try to explain, yet saw little point. Accusations like this were hard to disprove and would only draw unnecessary trouble. Xianing wandered leisurely into the bathroom, filled the constant temperature bathtub and poured in half a bottle of rose bath salts. Warm, fragrant water rose around her. She sighed in comfort, sinking into thick foam. Her weariness melted away. The water temperature was perfect. She closed her eyes and hummed a tuneless little melody, completely relaxed. At that moment, Xianing thought this life was incredibly pleasant. Back in the real world, she never would have enjoyed such comfort. She had earned barely 3,000 monthly salary, slaving away non-stop with almost no holidays. Half an hour later, she stepped out wrapped in a bath towel. With a thought, she changed into a silky nightgown. Her damp hair instantly turned fluffy and dry. Glancing casually at trade market notifications, a smile spread across her face. Ding. Trade successful. Survival coins +2. Ding. Trade successful. Survival coins +5. Ding. Trade successful. Survival coins +20. Nearly all her listed goods had sold, bringing in a total of 3,130 survival coins. Xianing opened the wealth leaderboard, joy shining in her eyes. She reclaimed first place with 4,303 survival coins. Second place player alone held 2,289, almost half her total. Switching to the mileage leaderboard, she saw top-ranked Wolf Totem had reached 4,000 kilometers. Second place was close behind at 3,886 kilometers. Xianing sat at 2,200 kilometers. She had climbed from well over 2,000th place to just above 1,000th. At her current pace, she expected to catch up within 3 or 4 days. She had abundant fuel and a very fast vehicle. Her 1,700-kilometer trip today had consumed roughly 300 liters, equivalent to 6 units of universal fuel. Thanks to critical bonuses from opening chests, she had gained 26 units. Her stockpile of universal fuel had actually grown. Just as she prepared for bed, a private message popped up. Classmate LV, big shot, help. Xianing shot upright in bed. She barely knew classmate LV, but he had once given her a tang sword. Favors ought to be repaid. Boss Xia with money, what kind of trouble are you in? Classmate LV, big shot, I'm freezing to death. Do you have anything warm? Xianing stared in confusion. What are you talking about? I don't get it. Outside the temperature was supposed to be over 30 degrees Celsius. How could someone freeze? Had he gotten trapped inside a refrigerated vehicle? Classmate LV was perched on his off-road motorcycle, shivering violently, his teeth chattering. Half an hour earlier it had been sweltering. He had tied his windbreaker around his waist, wearing only a short-sleeve shirt. Out of nowhere, the weather took a sharp turn. Temperatures plummeted to -20 degrees Celsius. Every breath formed white mist, and fine frost coated his eyelashes instantly. He possessed no warming supplies. Frustrated, he tried to generate body heat through exercise. High knee lifts, arm stretches, frantic running, he cycled through them all. Yet any warmth he generated vanished immediately in the bitter wind. Worse still, his health value dropped fast, slipping from over 70 down to 37. If he fell into a weakened state, he would die. Reading Xia Ning's reply, classmate LV felt equally confused. Has the temperature not dropped where you are? It's -20-something degrees here. It feels like the depths of winter. I only have thin clothes on, and my body is going stiff. Boss Xia with money, huh? I had no idea. Let me check outside. Xia Ning opened the window. Frigid wind rushed in, making her shudder. Whoa, it's freezing. She finally understood his desperate plea. She had stayed inside the truck the whole time. Its smart air conditioner maintained a steady 26 degrees, so she had been completely unaware of the outside shift. Out in this weather, players riding open vehicles must be suffering terribly. Unfortunately, she had no cold weather gear in her backpack. Xia Ning hurried over to her work counter. She took out 50 bottles of mineral water she had saved for drinking, unscrewed each cap, and poured all the water into a huge stainless steel soup pot to boil. The water quickly came to a rolling boil. Using a funnel, she refilled the hot water back into bottles and traded 5 of them to classmate LV. Boss Xia with money, make do with these for now. Looking at chat, everyone is begging for warm items and none are available for purchase. Message me if the water cools down, and I will send you freshly heated bottles. When classmate LV's fingers touched the warm bottle surface, his eyes grew moist. These 5 hot bottles from the big shot were true lifesavers. After thanking her profusely, he twisted open one bottle and sipped slowly. Warmth spread through his insides, easing his stiff muscles. He tucked the other bottles against his chest and between his thighs. His body felt much better. Wind howled outside, yet the truck's interior stayed comfortably warm. Xia Ning filled the remaining 45 bottles with boiling water and posted to the public channel. Server, wide banner, Boss Xia with money, cold snap incoming. Fresh, boiled hot water available on the trade market. Within 3 seconds, every bottle sold out. Ugh. How did everyone snatch them so fast? My 25-year practice quick reflexes weren't quick enough. Hehe, I got one. Only 5 survival coins from the big shot, such a fair price. Truly reasonable. Regular mineral water costs 2 survival coins. She's only charging for her trouble. At Boss Xia with money, big shot, I'll send mineral water plus 5 survival coins. Please boil them for me. I'm begging you. I'm freezing. Same here. Mineral water plus 5 survival coins. Save me. More and more players requested hot water, and an idea occurred to Xia Ning. Her large soup pot could boil 50 liters of water at once, enough for 100 bottles. It cost her virtually nothing. One batch could earn 500 survival coins. There was no way she would pass this opportunity up. Server, wide banner, Boss Xia with money. I was about to sleep, but send over your trade requests for hot water if you need it. Instantly, her private message icon flashed bright red with overflowing notifications. Within mere seconds, trade requests piled up past 999 plus. Xia Ning twitched her mouth and processed them in chronological order. She accepted 100 requests first. While the water boiled, she accepted another 100, unscrewing all bottle caps in advance to prepare. Though tiring, this workflow saved time. She processed 1,058 orders in total, working until 1 o'clock in the early morning. More trade applications still poured in, yet her eyes grew heavy and her health value dropped low. Server, wide banner, Boss Xia with money. Sorry everyone. I'll collapse if I don't sleep. Good night. Closing the chat window, Xia Ning checked her backpack. 9,593 survival coins. She had earned 5,290 survival coins just from boiling hot water tonight. She was only a small step away from becoming a 10,000 coin holder. Should she boil one more pot? She considered it, then decided against it. Money was endless. She needed rest, for she planned to keep traveling hard tomorrow. Exhausted, Xia Ning fell into a deep sleep. When she woke, it was nearly noon. The vehicle's constant temperature system still held the interior at a pleasant 26 degrees Celsius. She stretched, slipped on slippers, washed up at the sink, and fully woke herself up. She opened the truck door, intending to empty the waste storage tank. A blast of frigid air made her sneeze. With a thought, she changed from her nightgown into a long creamy, white down jacket reaching her knees, pulling the fluffy hood fully over her head. Achoo! Xianing frowned. It barely blocked the cold at all. She hurried back indoors and slapped her forehead. The versatile wardrobe only altered visual appearances. It offered no real physical insulation. Overcast skies outside brought even harsher cold. Temperatures had dropped further from -20 degrees the night before down to -30. Xianing thought of classmate LV. 16 hours had passed since she sent him hot water. She worried he might not have survived the bitter freeze. She sent him a message. "You still hanging in there, friend?" 5 minutes passed. Just as she feared the worst, classmate LV replied. Classmate LV, I got lucky. I set off traveling at 5 this morning and opened treasure chests that gave thermal underwear and heating patches. By the way, big shot, I've got something really good here. Are you interested? Xianing raised an eyebrow as she stared at the photo sent via private message. It was a pet egg the size of a human head, its shell glowing deep crimson. Little LV, boss, I found a blue treasure chest early this morning, and this egg dropped from it. Thank you for saving my life. I'd like to give you this pet egg. Xianing did not decline and confirmed the trade at once. She held the egg up to her eyes and brushed her fingertips lightly across its surface. Pet egg, rank, unknown, status, active. Description: no lonely highway should be traveled without a companion pet. It could hatch into an ancient divine beast capable of incinerating heaven and earth, or an ordinary duck quacking by the roadside. It might become a fluffy, soothing angelic creature or a mutated cockroach that nibbles your toes in the dead of night. Hatch result is entirely random. The game accepts no liability for outcomes. Friendly reminder: each player may only bind one pet, which cannot be discarded. Feel free to test your luck if you're an elite lucky player. Those with poor luck should exercise caution. Xianing's facial muscles twitched. If you can't describe something well, don't bother trying. A mutated cockroach that nibbles toes in the middle of the night? What on earth was that? If she really hatched one of those, she would probably want to give up right away. The outcome was random either way, so there was no point waiting. Xianing smiled at her reflection in the mirror. As the saying went, girls who smile tend to have good luck. Begin incubation. She fixed her gaze intently on the egg, equal parts eager and nervous. Crack. A thin fissure split the shell. The crack spread wider and wider, and a damp little head poked out. Relief washed over Xianing when she saw it was not a cockroach. This creature had fox-like ears paired with a bushy squirrel tail. Its body was covered in soft down shimmering with faint crimson hues. Its large round eyes resembled polished purple crystals, curiously observing everything around it. Overall, it carried an innate air of clumsy cuteness. Xianing stretched out her hand and gently stroked the top of its head. Ding, you have successfully hatched your pet. The pet has been automatically bound. Check the pet panel for details. Xianing immediately opened the pet panel, and her mouth fell open in shock. Name: Crimson Velvet Fox unnamed. Rank: Rare Growth Type. Potential rating: Maximum. Current form: Juvenile Stage 1 tail. Innate talent: Natural flame affinity. Able to spew high temperature flames to inflict burn damage on foes. Juvenile stage: 1. Tailed Crimson Velvet Fox current. Adolescent stage: 3. Tailed Crimson Flame Fox unlock skill, Flame Barrier. Mature stage: 6. Tailed Glass Fox unlock skill, Phoenix Wing Ascent. Peak stage: 9. Tailed Crimson Velvet Fox unlocks ultimate divine ability, World, Burning Flame Domain. Affection: 50/100 familiar. Trait 1. Warm Jade Aura. Its body temperature remains steady and higher than that of ordinary humans. It acts as a natural heater in frigid environments, effectively resisting extreme cold. Trait 2. Flame Seeker. It possesses an extraordinary attraction to all flame, attuned or heat-bearing substances. Consuming such materials accelerates its growth. Description: a legendary auspicious spirit beast dwelling deep within volcanoes, born alongside heavenly exotic flames. Though it looks harmless and dim-witted, it harbors terrifying power strong enough to scorch heaven and earth. As the number of its tails increases, its intelligence and command over fire grow exponentially. A grin spread uncontrollably across Xianing's face as she read the panel information. Wow, it was actually a rare, growth, capable divine beast. She lifted a finger and scratched its fluffy chin. The little creature squinted comfortably and let out a low rumbling purr. Xianing thought for a moment and said, "You're bright red and so warm. I'll call you Nuan Nuan from now on." The creature seemed fond of the name. Its fox ears twitched happily, and it let out a soft chirp of delight. Xianing's mood soared. Not only had she gained a companion, she also had a portable constant temperature heater. She would never fear bitter cold again. She leaned down and lifted Nuan Nuan into her arms. The creature behaved gently. Its tiny paws latched onto her clothing, and its fluffy tail coiled naturally around her wrist. Holding the soft, warm bundle, she pushed open the dining vehicle's door once more. Sharp, biting winter gales rushed toward her, yet they collided with an invisible wall of warmth. Nuan Nuan nestled in her arms like a constant temperature furnace. Streams of heat seeped through her clothes and caressed her skin. Even the white mist from her breath was far thinner than before. Xianing tilted her head and rubbed her cheek against Nuan Nuan's warm ears. A cozy warmth spread through her entire body. A playful idea crossed her mind, and she teased the fluffy creature in her arms. "Nuan Nuan, put on a show for me. Breathe some fire." The little fox tilted its head and blinked its big eyes, seemingly processing the request. Then it puffed out its pink cheeks and parted its small mouth. Poof! A fist-sized mass of orange-red flame burst forth. Unlike ordinary fire that swayed in the wind, this flame remained solid and concentrated. Xianing raised an eyebrow. The flame was far hotter than she expected. "Not bad, little one." She tapped Nuan Nuan's damp nose with her fingertip, growing fonder by the second. Proud of the praise, Nuan Nuan wagged its tail like a spinning propeller and spewed another cluster of sparks to seek more compliments. Xianing carried Nuan Nuan back into the vehicle and set the creature on the counter. She turned around and pulled a pack of marinated beef from her backpack, food she had prepared for herself. She held the beef near its mouth. "Here, Nuan Nuan. A reward for you." To her surprise, Nuan Nuan wrinkled its delicate nose and flattened its fox ears in clear distaste. It twisted its head away and swatted the beef aside with a paw, every line of its body radiating aloof disinterest. "Huh." Xianing laughed and pulled out a small cake. The little creature rejected that too without hesitation, letting out protesting chirps. Xianing pressed a hand to her forehead helplessly. "Then what do you eat?" She suddenly recalled the flame seeker trait listed on the panel, and realization dawned on her. Xianing opened the trading zone and typed the keyword flame into the search bar. Most of the results were flame-attuned weapons. She flipped through countless pages without finding anything consumable. Just as she was about to give up, an unassuming listing caught her eye in a corner of the screen. Flame crystal, mineral found alongside treasure chests. Warm to the touch and rumored to contain fire elemental energy. Price, 20 survival coins. Xianing bought one on a whim. Once the trade completed, an irregular, angular crystal the size of a fist materialized in her palm. The moment she brought the crystal close, Nuan Nuan lost its calm demeanor. The creature that had acted indifferent only moments before lifted its head abruptly. Its eyes widened, and its small nose twitched repeatedly. Its front paws scrambled eagerly against Xianing's wrist, utterly ravenous. A stark contrast to its attitude toward the marinated beef. "Go on, eat it." Xianing held the flame crystal to Nuan Nuan's mouth. Nuan Nuan wrapped both paws tightly around the crystal, opened its jaws, and took a crisp crunching bite. Xianing's eyelids twitched. This was crystal, extremely hard stone. Yet Nuan Nuan crunched through the fist-sized crystal as if eating crispy potato chips, finishing it in a handful of bites. When it was done, it stuck out its tongue to lick leftover fragments from its mouth and let out a satisfied chirp. Moments later, Nuan Nuan let out a tiny burp, and a wisp of faint flame drifted from its nostrils. It squinted contentedly, settled into the coziest spot in Xianing's arms, curled into a fluffy ball, and drifted off to sleep. Ding, daily food supply has been generated. Spicy hot pot times 10, ginger cola times 10. Bibimbap times 10, pumpkin soup times 10. Korean army stew times 10, soju times 10. Outside, the wind raged wildly. Snow pellets hammered against the vehicle body, making a constant clattering noise. The global chat channel overflowed with distressed messages from players. Good heavens. It's -35 degrees. How are we supposed to survive? Does anyone have winter coats and trousers for sale? I'll pay 200 survival coins urgently. The blizzard is so heavy I can barely see the road riding my three-wheeler. I'm sitting in my Range Rover in a short sleeve shirt. Not cold at all. Just vanish from this chat room immediately. Nuan rested in Xianning's arms, while a pot of Korean army stew bubbled away on the counter. The aroma of spicy ramen mixed with fermented kimchi filled the entire vehicle. Slices of cheese inside the pot had melted, stretching into long silken threads. Fish cakes soaked up rich broth and swelled plump. Rice cakes simmered until tender, oozing sesame filling when bitten open. Xianning ate her stew and sipped soju while scrolling through the chat channel, thoroughly enjoying herself. At that moment, Pullover Magic Scent messaged her, "Boss, do you have any hot meals available today? I'd like to pre-order one." Pullover Magic Scent's small electric four-wheeler shielded her from wind and rain, yet offered almost no insulation against the cold. She huddled in the cramped back seat wrapped in 3 layers of blankets and still shivered from freezing. Staring at her numb, crimson fingertips, memories of winters past flooded her mind. She had always loved spicy hot pot, especially in cold weather. A big bowl loaded with extra chili and numbing peppercorns, steam fogging her face. After eating it, warmth would spread all the way down to her toes. Now what? All she had left were 2 hard compressed biscuits that could chip teeth. Forget spicy hot pot, even a cup of boiling hot water felt like an unattainable luxury. Pullover Magic Scent swallowed hard, her throat dry and aching. She could only hope the boss had hot food to spare. Xianing was sweating lightly from her meal. She snapped a photo and sent it over. "Image here, take your pick." Pullover Magic Scent was rubbing her hands and blowing warm air onto her fingers. She froze for 5 full seconds when she saw the photo, her breath catching. The photograph was immensely tempting. Right in the center sat the bubbling Korean army stew. Scarlet broth topped with glistening golden oil, thick slices of luncheon meat, tofu puffs soaked through with soup. Cheese stretched in long strands all the way to the edge of the frame, almost spilling out of the screen. Stacks of bibimbap and bowls of spicy hot pot sat beside it. But that was not the most heartbreaking detail. The background told the full story. Matte genuine leather seating was visible, and the edge of a bed draped with soft bedding peeked out from the corner. A double-door refrigerator stood nearby, its glass panels reflecting Xianning's relaxed silhouette. Pullover Magic Scent screamed silently inside her head. What an incredible life! She shivered uncontrollably in bitter cold, while the boss dined on hot pot inside a luxury camper vehicle. Saliva pooled in her mouth as she stared at the picture. She craved both spicy hot pot and army stew. Should she splurge? After checking her meager amount of survival coins, she made up her mind. Pullover Magic Scent, "Boss, 1 order of spicy hot pot and ginger cola, please. How many survival coins do I owe you?" After sending the message, she felt grateful she had added the boss as a friend. This powerful player was easygoing and never acted arrogant. "Boss, with cash. 1 set including main dish and drink costs 50 survival coins." Pullover Magic Scent, "No problem. Boss, with cash. Got it. What flavor would you like? I can adjust the seasoning." Pullover Magic Scent brightened visibly. Extra spicy, extra numbing peppercorns, lots of vinegar. No one could turn down a steaming, fragrant bowl of spicy hot pot in this dreadful weather. 50 survival coins was a fair price. Plenty of players would happily pay 100. The second the trade finalized, a steaming bowl of spicy hot pot materialized in front of Pullover Magic Scent. Powerful spicy and savory aromas cut straight through the frigid air and drifted into her nose. Her hands shook as she picked up chopsticks. Ignoring the heat, she grabbed a piece of kelp and took a bite. Hiss, ah. Rich sesame paste greeted her taste buds first, followed by the numbing kick of Sichuan peppercorn and smooth chili oil. Warmth slid down her throat and settled in her stomach. It felt amazing. She ate until she sweated, and her ashen, frostbitten complexion regained color little by little. Meanwhile, Xia Ning finished her meal. Her health value climbed to 95. It was time to continue traveling. She gently set Nuan down on the large bed. Before walking to the driver's seat alone, her fingers brushed the ignition switch of the Thunder engine and pressed it. Deep engine roars drowned out the whistling storm outside. She held the steering wheel with one hand and turned the windshield wipers to maximum speed. Thin ice coating the glass was cleared away instantly. While driving, she opened the global chat channel. Global announcement, Bastia with cash, spicy hot pot plus ginger cola set open for bidding. Highest bidder wins. The chat flooded with bids the very next second. Spicy hot pot. I can't believe spicy hot pot exists in this survival game. I offer 10 survival coins. Please sell it to me. 10 coins for hot pot? You're dreaming. Bastia, I bid 50 survival coins. No delays. I bid 100 survival coins. Sell it to me. I never eat spicy hot pot normally, but I'm desperate now. 150 survival coins. Have you all lost your minds? It's just one bowl of hot pot. I bid 200 survival coins. A smile lingered steadily on Xianing's face as she watched the messages roll in. In the end, the first set was claimed by Alone, with a bid of 360 survival coins. Alone, Bastia, I've followed you for a long time. Do you restock food every single day? Is a monthly subscription available? Xianing blinked. She never struggled to sell her daily food output. Fixed monthly pricing would only cost her profit. She thought briefly and replied politely, sorry, monthly subscriptions are not available. Alone, let's add each other as friends then, boss. I'll check back regularly. Save good food for me. Money is no object. Xianing lifted an eyebrow. Sure. After accepting Alone's friend request, Xianing posted another auction listing, this time for a Korean army stew plus soju set. The journey was tedious, so she might as well earn extra coins and pass the time. The chat channel erupted in excitement once again. Good heavens. Am I seeing this right? Korean hot pot is available too. My instant noodles suddenly taste terrible. Ugh, I'm dying to try it, but I can't afford it. A bowl of hot pot sold for 360 coins earlier. This stew will go even higher. Everyone, I bid 100 survival coins. I truly need this meal. Can you let me have it? I'm going all in. I must get this stew. No one can stop me. 300 survival coins. Why tempt me when I'm starving and have zero willpower? 500 survival coins. Xianing laughed aloud. Players had accumulated far more survival coins as the game progressed. Still, she was surprised that stew could reach 500 coins. Supply scarcity worked wonders. She glanced at the wealth leaderboard. The player ranked 100th possessed over 3,000 survival coins. After some thought, she decided to auction a shape, shifting outfit to test market response. Global announcement, Bastia with cash. Seeing everyone's enthusiastic bidding, I will now auction a special piece of equipment, shape, shifting outfit. Limited supply across the entire server, powerful functionality. See attached photo for details. Starting bid, 1,000 survival coins. Minimum bid increment, 100. Don't miss out. The chat channel fell silent for half a minute after the message appeared. It's actually special equipment? I want it badly, but the price is steep. Fully customizable from head to toe? Isn't this the real-life version of Miracle Nikki every girl dreams of? The best feature is permanent self-cleaning. Goodness, I'm filthy. I'm genuinely tempted. I bid 1,500. 1,800 survival coins. Please let me have it. Boss, can I buy it on credit? This item is a lifesaver for neat freaks like me. I want it too. I haven't washed my hair in a week. I bid 2,000 survival coins. That's all my savings. I'm taking the risk. 2,300 survival coins. I'll withdraw if anyone bids higher. Bidding intensified rapidly. As prices surged, most ordinary players backed out. Only several wealthy top-ranked players remained locked in competition. Alone, 2,500. Wait for my cola, 2,800. Innocent earthworm dancing, 2,900. Wind listening on Misty Island, 3,000. I'll join the bidding too. Forklift driver Wang Luwu, 3,200. No one outbids me. My clothes are barely holding together. Wait for my cola. Sen-Ning, considering our past connection, sell this to me. I made mistakes before and failed to cherish you. I apologize publicly to you in front of every player here. I swear on my life that you have always mattered to me. I deeply regret everything. Please give me another chance. I promise I will treat you far better. Xia Ning's brows knitted, undisguised disgust rising within her. She could block this former partner, yet she could not stop him spouting sentimental lines in the public chat channel. Huh? Boss Xia's real name is Xia Ning? She's a woman. Wow, Boss Xia, I'd love to add you as a friend. I'm capable of anything. Miss, never trust empty words from men. Innocent earthworm dancing, exactly. Don't sell it to him, sister. I bid 4,000. Xia Ning knew innocent earthworm dancing ranked third on the wealth leaderboard with over 4,500 survival coins. Alone held second place with more than 4,600 coins. She suspected 4,000 was close to the maximum anyone was willing to pay. She waited for a minute. Seeing no further bids, she directly sent a trade request to Little Earthworm. Upon receiving the shape-shifting outfit, Little Earthworm was overjoyed. She brought her vehicle to an immediate halt and began changing clothes. Her ride was decent, a 7-seat domestic new energy MPV. Though not top tier in the road survival game, it excelled in practicality. Fold down the rear 2 rows of seats, and you got a spacious bed covered with thick cashmere while she looted from a treasure chest. Even when temperatures plummeted to -30°C outside, battery-powered heating kept the cabin at a pleasant 20 degrees. Its only downside was high power consumption, forcing her to stay mindful of battery replacements. All things considered, she enjoyed a pretty comfortable survival setup. Now that she owned the shape-shifting outfit, her quality of life had climbed to another level. With a thought, the hoodie on her body vanished, replaced by a warm white high-end cashmere bodysuit. Soft and skin-friendly, wrapping her from ankles to neck. Her previously dull, greasy hair turned fluffy and smooth, shimmering with a faint rose glow. Good heavens, these 4,000 credits were absolutely worth it. Little Earthworm's eyes sparkled, brimming with pure delight. At that moment, Xia Ning also stopped her vehicle. She held the still, sleeping Wan in her arms to share warmth. And right before her lay a treasure chest. A flicker of excitement crossed Xia Ning's eyes. This was the first blue treasure chest she had encountered since the game launched. She took a deep breath and pried the lid open sharply with her Tang Dao. Congratulations, player. Warning. Danger. 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 Ding. Blue treasure chest opened. Lucky critical triggered. Item quantity ×5. Before Xia Ning could react, 5 low, rumbling roars erupted all at once. Oh whoa. Xia Ning's scalp went numb. She tried to flee, yet the 5 figures had already surrounded her. They were covered in tough gray, black bristles with needle-like fur sticking up along their spines. Where eyes should have been were empty cavities continuously oozing pus, yet this did nothing to hinder their agility. Most terrifying of all were their fangs, as long as daggers, glinting icy yellow beneath the snowlight. No way, mutant blind wolves. Xia Ning's breath caught instantly. Wan seemed to sense the threat too. The little creature tensed up and bared its tiny teeth at the wolves. Xia Ning's fingertips turned cold, inwardly cursing her rotten luck. She'd finally found a blue treasure chest, only to unleash feral beasts. While her stats and combat power were fairly solid right now, facing 5 blind wolves was likely beyond her capabilities. She could hear her own heart hammering against her eardrums, throbbing violently at her temples. Xia Ning tightened her grip around Wan. Her other hand held the Tang Dao, raised defensively in front of her. She barely shifted her weight when she heard crunching footsteps in the snow behind her. As Xia Ning twisted around, one blind wolf charged straight for her. The beast's face nearly crashed into hers. Pus dripped from its hollow eye sockets and dagger-length fangs lunged for her throat. Damn! Fear surged through Xia Ning. She swung the Tang Dao horizontally, the blade's back slamming hard against the wolf's jaw. Clang! A sharp ring echoed. The blow knocked the wolf's head aside, but it twisted the instant it landed and pounced again, pushing off with its hind legs. Its speed was terrifyingly fast. Xia Ning glanced sideways, and her heart sank. The other 4 blind wolves had spread out, forming a semicircle to trap her. Though sightless, their hearing and sense of smell were extraordinarily sharp. What sent chills down her spine was that the 5 wolves moved in coordinated formation. One attacked head-on to hold her attention, 2 flanked her sides, and another circled silently toward her rear. Is this where I bite the dust today? Xia Ning swore under her breath. Wan let out a small chirp, leaping from her arms onto her shoulder. It opened its mouth, and a jet of tangerine flame burst toward the wolf charging forward. Ow! The blind wolf's bristles scorched and smoldered, yet it only stepped back half a pace before advancing once more. Seizing the brief reprieve, Xia Ning angled her Tang Dao toward the ground, every muscle along her back taut. She had barely relaxed when snow flashed to her left. A blind wolf lunged from the flank, claws slicing through the air. Xia Ning dodged sideways, only to realize the strike was a feint. The wolf swiped its front paw as a distraction while its hind leg shot toward her knee. Cunning beasts! She could not evade completely. The wolf's claws tore through her work trousers, carving a deep gash along her outer thigh. Pain exploded outward. Warm blood welled up. The frigid air stung the wound like countless blades. Xia Ning glanced down. Her health value immediately dropped from 95 to 82. Gritting her teeth, she swung the Tang Dao backward to force the wolf away. But no sooner had she repelled the left attacker than the wolf on her right closed in. The 5 blind wolves took turns assaulting her without pause, granting her no chance to catch her breath. They did not charge recklessly. Their teamwork was frighteningly precise. Whoosh! Footsteps crunched closer behind her. Xia Ning spun abruptly. The circling blind wolf had leaped, aiming its fangs for the nape of her neck. She hastily lifted her blade to block. Crack! Fangs collided with steel, sending vibrations stinging up her wrists. At the same time, the wolf ahead seized the opening. Its claws raked across her left arm. Her sleeve ripped open, 3 parallel gashes blooming on her skin. Xia Ning stifled a groan. Her left arm lost much of its strength. Bright red blood flecked the snow. Only 2 or 3 minutes into the fight, she already bore 3 separate wounds. Her thigh, left arm, and right shoulder had all been clawed. Meanwhile, the 5 wolves had barely lost a single hair. I can't keep defending like this, or I'll die here. Xia Ning's gaze hardened. She understood her predicament all too clearly. Pure defense meant being worn down little by little. These wolves coordinated too seamlessly, forcing her to cover threats from all directions at once. She needed to take the offensive. Xia Ning deliberately slowed her sword swings, let her breathing grow ragged, and stumbled slightly. Feigning exhaustion. The Tang Dao drooped, leaving her chest wide open. It worked. The blind wolf facing her twitched its ears, picking up on the apparent vulnerability. It pushed off its hind legs and lunged straight for her chest. Perfect. Just as the fangs came within 10 centimeters of her torso, Xia Ning twisted her body sharply. At the same time, she gripped Frost, her Tang Dao, driving it upward to pierce the wolf's abdomen. Squelch! The blade burst out through its back. The wolf stiffened. Yet the beast struck back in its final moments, sinking its fangs into her shoulder and tearing away a chunk of flesh. Ugh! Agony blurred Xia Ning's vision. She grabbed the wolf's neck with her left hand, using the momentum to hurl its body heavily onto the snow. 1 wolf down. But Xia Ning's shoulder was mangled, blood streaming down her arm. Her health value plummeted to 63. A costly victory. She spat out saliva tainted with blood, her eyes blazing. Abandoning all defensive tactics, Xia Ning wielded the Tang Dao in wide, ferocious arcs. Another blind wolf pounced. She did not dodge. She endured its claws tearing her shirt above her ribs, drawing a streak of blood. In that instant, she swept the Tang Dao horizontally, cleaving cleanly into the wolf's skull. Ow! The wolf's skull split open, and it collapsed. A fiery ache spread across her ribs, every breath tasting of iron. The 3rd wolf advanced. Xia Ning repeated her tactic. She allowed its jaws to sink into her right calf, driving her blade through its throat in return. Health value, 44. Blood covered her from head to toe, and she had no time to activate self-cleaning. Her work trousers hung in tattered strips. Her left arm, right shoulder, thigh, ribs, and calf, no part of her body escaped injury. The wind sliced across her wounds, the cold tormenting her like a whip in an ice cellar. 3 of the 5 wolves lay dead. 2 remained. 1 stood facing her, rumbling low in its throat as it assessed the bloodied prey before it. The other circled silently toward her rear once again. A chill ran down Xia Ning's spine. In her current state, she could not withstand attacks from front and back. Even if she killed 1 more, the wolf behind her would deliver a fatal blow. Just then, eep! Nuan leaped off her shoulder. As the little creature landed, pale red fur ignited into blazing orange flames, like a miniature sun bursting to life. It faced the wolf circling behind them and, instead of spitting small fireballs, unleashed a half-human, tall wall of flame. Ow! The blind wolf retreated frantically, its tail tip catching fire. It rolled across the snow in agony. Nuan's intervention was a lifesaver. Its fire blocked the rear, freeing Xia Ning from the deadly trap of fighting enemies on 2 sides. The pressure eased, and she focused all her attention on the wolf ahead. Yet as she prepared to charge, she noticed her limbs growing weak. Health value at 44, stamina depleted, her vision swaying. The blind wolf sensed her frailty. It held off its assault. Instead, it paced slowly, toying with its prey and savoring her trembling desperation. Xianing clenched her jaw and pulled a bare tribal strength pill from her backpack. Upon consumption, it boosted strength by 500 points for 10 seconds. 10 seconds, that will be enough. Without hesitation, she tossed the pill into her mouth. The moment it hit her stomach, a surging torrent of power erupted inside her. Xia Ning felt every bone in her body hum as unfamiliar strength flooded her limbs. She stepped forward, cracking the snow beneath her feet. The blind wolf arched its back warily, yet it was already too late. Xia Ning closed the distance in a flash. Her left hand clamped around its neck like iron, and her right hand drove the Tang Dao forward without hesitation. The wolf did not even have time to howl before collapsing onto the snow. Only the last blind wolf remained, the one forced back by Nuan's firewall. Seeing its companion slain in an instant, it lost its will to fight and turned to flee. Xia Ning's gaze turned icy. Without pause, she gripped Frost tightly and hurled the blade. Fueled by the explosive power boost of 500 strength points, the Tang Dao whistled through the air. Whoosh! The sword traced a frigid arc, moving so fast it left only a blurred trail. The fleeing blind wolf had only twisted halfway around when overwhelming cold pierced its chest. Squelch! The Tang Dao drove straight through its torso, emerging from its front. The massive momentum pinned the wolf firmly to a snowdrift several meters away. The blind wolf's limbs twitched twice. Pus and frothy blood oozed from its hollow eye sockets. A gurgling, leaking sound escaped its throat before it fell still. All 5 blind wolves were dead. Xia Ning's legs buckled, and she slumped heavily onto the snow, sending snowflakes flying. She glanced down at herself, covered in wounds. Blood crust, mixed with snow, clung to her skin, stinging sharply whenever the wind blew. Warning: health value below 30. Entering weakened state. Weakened state. All attributes reduced by 50%. Vehicle operation prohibited. State lifted once health value rises above 30. Xia Ning rolled her eyes, overwhelmed by throbbing pain. Eep! A soft whimper sounded beside her. Nuan hopped over from the snow, shaking snow grains off its tiny body. Tears welled in its large eyes, clinging to its lashes. It stretched out its small tongue and gently licked the blood smudges from Sanning's cheeks. The sensation was ticklish and warm. Xia Ning tried to lift her hand to pet its head, yet her arms refused to obey. She managed a faint smile. Good girl, Nuan. You did great back there. As she spoke, she pulled a honey jar fruit from her backpack, a gift from the bear cub. The fruit melted on her tongue, sending a warm current flowing into her stomach, soothing her. Whoa! Xia Ning shuddered the next second. That warmth spread outward from her stomach to every corner of her body. Wherever it passed, her wounds tingled as though tiny ants crawled across her skin. The itch was intense enough to make her want to roll on the ground. Yet alongside it came an indescribable comfort, as if her body was reconstructing itself. She watched visibly as the deep gash on her thigh shrank, and the claw marks on her left arm faded. Even the chunk of flesh torn from her right shoulder regrew as if by magic. Ding! Consumed honey jar fruit. Health value restoring. All physical injuries healed. Weakened state removed. After roughly 1 minute, Xia Ning took a deep breath and tested her grip. She looked down at herself once more. Not a single scar remained from her earlier wounds. To her surprise, her skin felt incredibly smooth, like a peeled boiled egg. Xia Ning grinned and pushed herself to her feet. She rotated her neck, producing a string of crisp popping sounds. She checked her character panel. Player: Xia Ning, female, 23 years old. Server: Huaxia Server District 8888. Nickname: Boss Xia with Claws. Vehicle: Tour Food Truck Level 2. Health value: 100. Strength: 66. Agility: 59. Stamina: 52. Combat power: 185. Equipment: Mysterious Feathers Strength +5, Agility +5, Shape: Shifting Outfit, Carapace Wrist Guard Stamina +5, Tang Dao Frost Agility +5, Combat Power +5%. Titles: Wealthy Tycoon All Attributes +20, Mile Pioneer Treasure Chest Spawn Chance +10%. Pet: Red, Furred Fox Nuan Affection, 70. Survival Credits: 14453. Xia Ning raised an eyebrow. Her combat power hit 185? It had only sat around 130 before fighting the blind wolves. Evidently, the honey jar fruit not only mended her wounds, but also improved her physical fundamentals. She activated self-cleaning with a thought, restoring her combat uniform to pristine condition. Then her gaze turned to the 5 blind wolf corpses scattered across the snow, and she began collecting loot. Congratulations, player, obtained Blind Wolf Armor ×1, Blind Wolf Spirit Essence ×5, Blind Wolf Fong ×1, Skill Book ×1, Survival Credits 345. Xianing's eyes lit up, another equipment drop. Blind Wolf Armor rank, blue. Description: forged from the tough hide and bristles of mutant blind wolves. Lightweight yet highly protective. Attributes: stamina +10, defense +10%. Notes: fits seamlessly beneath the shape, shifting outfit without altering appearance, providing reliable physical protection. Not bad. Xianing equipped it at once. The armor merged instantly with her shape, shifting outfit. Blind Wolf Spirit Essence rank, blue. Description: soul energy crystal condensed at the moment of a blind wolf's death. All pets are fond of it. Attributes: grants 50 growth points when consumed by pets. Xianing twirled the faint blue crystals in her hand and tossed them straight to Nuan. The little creature, previously listless, perked up instantly upon seeing the essences, far more excited than when it laid eyes on fire crystals. Its tongue flicked out, swallowing all 5 spirit essences in an instant. Eep! Nuan's fur glowed brighter than before. It circled happily on Xianing's shoulder. When it opened its mouth to spit flame, the fire now carried faint blue cores, burning far hotter. Affection jumped straight to 80, and its body grew noticeably larger. Blind Wolf Fong, dagger rank, blue. Description: forged from the longest pair of dagger, like blind wolf fangs through mysterious power. Sharp enough to pierce armor. Attributes: agility +20. Grants armor pierce, ignores target defense, and bleed target sustains continuous damage. Xianing hefted the yellow, glinting dagger. It fit perfectly in her palm, ideal for close quarters combat. Lastly, she examined the skill book, a thoughtful glint in her eyes. Swift Wind active skill. Doubles agility upon activation. Lasts 5 seconds. 30-second cooldown. Xianing traced her fingertips over the cover and chose to learn it immediately. Ding! Skill icon added to panel. Swift Wind shines brightly among active abilities. She mentally tallied the numbers. Her agility sat at 59, doubling it brought it to 118. This speed boost was modest for now, not enough to grant overwhelming dominance. Yet the skill's true value lay in its scaling potential. The game had only just begun, and equipment and attribute values remained low. What would happen later, once her stats stacked higher? This skill would trigger a massive shift in combat capability. Though it only lasted 5 seconds, the cooldown was merely 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds, she gained a short burst of heightened speed. Invaluable both for chasing foes and escaping danger. Xianing's mood lifted. She had wasted a strength pill and a honey jar fruit, yet the rewards were well worth the cost. Reading the description was not enough. She needed to test it firsthand. Stowing her Tang Dao in her backpack, she muttered, "Swift wind." At her thought, a strange warm current surged from her dantian to her legs. Xianing felt her muscles tense and relax in sequence, her reaction speed and movement velocity noticeably enhanced. Moments later, she picked up Nuan and returned to her vehicle. The deadly battle she had endured felt almost like a dream. Exhausted, Nuan curled up on her shoulder and drifted off to sleep. Xianing glanced at the mileage leaderboard. Wow, that player wolf totem was relentless. Yesterday his mileage stood at 4,000 kilometers, and now he had pushed it all the way to 5,000? Xianing shifted gears and pressed the gas. Her heavy-duty truck roared forward. Yet barely 2 minutes of driving passed when another blue treasure chest appeared ahead. Xianing blinked. She could not tell if today was a day of extreme luck or terrible misfortune. 2 blue treasure chests in a row. Would another horde of feral beasts spawn from this one? She possessed no emergency healing items left. If beasts emerged again, she might truly lose her life. Still, she could not simply leave the chest within sight untouched. Taking a deep breath, she steeled herself. Her right hand tightened around Frost, the Tang Dao. She wedged the blade into the chest's lid seam and twisted her wrist sharply. Congratulations, player, obtained explosion, proof tire blueprint ×1, bulletproof glass blueprint ×1, fine steel ×3, manganese steel ×3, fire crystal ×5, Universal fuel times 5, survival credits 45. Ding. Lucky critical triggered. Item quantity times 9. Blue light burst before Xianing's eyes. Piles of materials stacked up like a small hill. This loot haul was incredible. She had already gathered 200 planks, leather scraps, and metal fittings, plus iron ore. Now she gained explosion, proof tire blueprint times 9, bulletproof glass blueprint times 9, fine steel times 27, manganese steel times 27. She only needed 50 more forging stones to upgrade her vehicle once again. Xianing tossed all the fire crystals onto the sofa as snacks for Nuan. She kept driving while browsing the trading district for forging stones. When she saw the price listed for them, astonishment flickered across her face. What on earth? Forging stones have been driven up to 500 survival coins apiece. She instantly regretted not stocking up more when she'd had the chance. She needed 50 stones right now. Buying them outright with survival coins would turn the richest player into a penniless one. With no other choice, Xianing pulled out her ace. She had sold one portion of her daily meals to the little magic fairy, auctioned off 2 more, and eaten one herself. 26 portions remained. Trading them for forging stones should not prove difficult. After all, in this survival game, food was often far more valuable, and it was never easy to come by. World announcement boss Xia with pincers, spicy hot pot set, Korean army stew set, dulcet bibimbap set, trading for forging stones. Just as Xianing expected, many players could not resist the temptation of hot meals. She traded all 26 meal portions and received 26 forging stones in return. She was in no rush for the remaining 24. She would wait until tomorrow's fresh batch of meals. The clock struck 3 in the afternoon, and Xianing's mileage counter hit 3,000 kilometers. At that exact moment, a system announcement boomed across the entire server. Notice: all players, please pay attention. All players, please pay attention. To enrich your survival experience, the limited time event Phantom Highway 8 vehicle free 4 all race will begin in 5 minutes. 8 players will be randomly grouped. The racetrack is a 50-kilometer holographic illusion. Item crates will spawn randomly along the route. Collecting them grants offensive, defensive, and interference supplies. Rewards: first place of each group earns the Novice Racer title plus 5 to all attributes. Reminder: please drive safely. The system takes no responsibility for any collisions or accidents. Xianing raised an eyebrow. A holographic illusion? An 8, car free 4, all with item crates? It sounded similar to a racing game she had played before. Her Dion heavy truck held a massive advantage. The title granting plus 5 all attributes was hers for the taking. She pulled the vehicle over and settled the sleeping Nuan on the sofa. Meanwhile, the player chat channel erupted. Whoa. 8-way vehicle brawl? This is basically a vehicular battle royale. I'm riding a shared electric bike. Can I opt out? Sob sob. Don't back down. We've got items to use. No one knows who will win. Read the reminder carefully. This race might get people eliminated. 5 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. A flash of white light transported Xianing into the illusion. 7 other equally bewildered players stood beside her. When she spotted a familiar figure, Xianing's brows tightened instinctively. He was tall and lean, wearing crumpled gray windbreaker, with the ID weight while I brew coke floating above his head. It was her ex-boyfriend, Zhou Hao. Truly, misfortune brought foes together. They had been matched randomly. Ning Ning. Zhou Hao called out warmly. It's really you. What a coincidence. Xianing folded her arms, her gaze icy. Zhou Hao forced an awkward smile, putting on a mournful, affectionate expression. Ning Ning, I'm sorry. I was completely drunk back then. I'm begging you to forgive me. I truly regret striking you. Give me one more chance, please. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand, trying to rest it on Xianing's shoulder. This game is incredibly dangerous. We could look out for each other from now on. Xianing sidestepped, avoiding his touch. Zhou Hao's hand meant nothing but air, yet he did not lose his composure and kept acting. Ning Ning, I've thought about you every single day. I can barely sleep at night. Do you remember when we first dated? I ran out to buy you medicine in the middle of the night when you fell ill. No matter how late you worked overtime, I would come pick you up. We had such good times back then. I was terrible for breaking your heart. I swear to heaven I will never hurt you again. Xianing grew annoyed listening to him. She raised her hand and slapped him hard across the face. She held nothing back. Zhou Hao's head jolted sharply, and he stumbled 2 steps backward. He clutched his cheek, stunned. Xianing, you hit me? Hitting you is far too lenient. Stop disgusting me. Cold frost materialized in Xianing's grip, her eyes frigid as ice. Keep talking, and I'll send you straight to your end. A venomous glint flashed across Zhou Hao's eyes, but he suppressed it quickly. He stepped back and dared not approach her again, yet his gaze kept drifting toward her, plotting something unknown. The other players, who had still been processing their surroundings, watched the scene in shock. Whoa, we ran into a top player. Xianing? Boss Xia with pincers. The #1 player on the wealth ranking. I bid on her spicy hot pot meal yesterday, but alone outbid me. Wow, Boss Xia is stunning. Can I get a friend request? Xianing glanced at the group. A heavily stubbled man with the ID building supplier Wang grinned at her. A young man clad entirely in leather crossed his arms with a cocky air, ID don't mess with Zhang. A round-faced girl in a pink down jacket looked quite young, ID little Su. A middle-aged man wearing a baseball cap carried the steady aura of someone who had endured countless hardships, ID peaceful days. A tall woman with neat short hair exuded cold elegance, ID Bodhi. A dark-skinned young man with an honest smile, ID deep affection. Xianing offered the unfamiliar players a polite smile by way of greeting. Just then, the system countdown echoed, and vehicles slowly materialized from thin air for every competitor. Ding! Vehicle teleportation in progress. The first vehicle to appear was Zhou Hao's black Jeep Wrangler. Its modified chassis sat 10 centimeters higher than standard, fitted with deep, tread tires, and a searchlight pole was mounted on the roof. He sat in the driver's seat and honked, smiling maliciously at Xianing. I've tried to reconcile with you repeatedly. If you choose to be so unyielding, don't blame me for what happens next. Shortly after, a blue photon light truck rumbled into view. Building supplier Wang patted the steering wheel and chuckled. With a Wrangler here, I guess first place is out of reach. TCH. Don't mess with, Zhang scoffed. A Wrangler isn't unbeatable. Anyone could take the win. A white Toyota Land Cruiser pulled up beside him. Little Su's vehicle was a pink Yadia electric scooter. She scratched her head awkwardly. Next to all the other vehicles, her scooter looked distinctly underwhelming. Peaceful Days sat behind the wheel of a black BYD, his expression calm. It's just a race. Safety comes first. A roar cut through the air as a red Ducati motorcycle landed. Bodhi swung a leg over the seat, her short hair fluttering in the wind, looking cool and sharp. Deep affection drove a silver Wuling Hongguang. He joked lightly. The legendary Wuling, king of mountain roads. Last of all, Xianing's vehicle slowly manifested. Boom! A colossal machine crashed onto the track, kicking up clouds of dust. Matte alloy armor plating covered its rugged, imposing frame, shaped like a heavy truck. The body was widened drastically on both sides, and huge one-way panoramic windows glinted coldly. A hemispherical observation turret atop the roof shimmered metallic under sunlight. Silence washed over the track for a full second. Whoa, building supplier Wang gaped, staring at the emblem. That's a modified Dion heavy truck? Don't mess with, Zhang was equally stunned and swallowed hard. Little Su's eyes lit up. It's enormous. It looks so awesome. Bodhi spared a brief sideways glance. She said nothing, yet surprise flickered across her features. Zhou Hao stared at the massive vehicle, his eyes shifting before a sneer tugged at his lips. What good does size do? These heavy trucks burn fuel like crazy, and they're slow. Right? Heavy trucks are terrible for racing. Don't mess with, Zhang agreed, catching on. The other players nodded, unsure whether to argue. Xianing let out a quiet scoff and chose not to explain. Dark thoughts churned in Zhou Hao's mind. If Xianing got eliminated during the free-for-all of her more than 10,000 survival coins would be his. At that moment, the emotionless mechanical voice boomed from above. All players prepare. Race countdown initiated. Ding. Vehicles locked. Countdown begins. 10 seconds. Xianing tapped her fingers against the steering wheel and checked her dashboard. The fuel gauge was full, and the thunder engines stood ready. 10, 9, 8. Zhou Hao twisted his neck inside the Wrangler, a grim smirk spreading across his face. 3, 2, 1. Start. 8 engines roared in unison, tires screaming against pavement. Xianing did not slam the accelerator immediately. She eased forward, bringing her speed up to 80 kilometers per hour while keeping the thunder engine dormant. The Wrangler, Land Cruiser, and Ducati surged far ahead. The track stretched roughly 50 meters wide, flanked by endless dark canyons. Golden floating question. Marked crates hovered every few hundred meters along the route, the item boxes. Zhou Hao's Wrangler took the lead. He rammed straight into the first crate, which burst open in a shower of golden light, dropping a round black bomb. Zhou Hao rolled down his window and slowed slightly. He activated the item, targeting Xianing. Boom! Shockwaves rippled outward amid swirling snow mist. The heavy truck's armor absorbed the blow, its front dipped faintly, yet its speed never wavered. Xianing, that bastard did that on purpose. Little Su, riding her pink scooter, laughed at the sight. Bombing a heavy truck is like tickling it. Zhou Hao kept moving and crashed into a second crate. This time, a vial of thick black ink rolled out. He sneered and activated the item once more against Xianing. Xianing's vision was obscured, so she switched to observation turret mode. Zhou Hao, you're asking for trouble. Xianing had collected 2 items of her own, an ice blast and an adhesive net. She unleashed both directly on Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao was still celebrating when his tires suddenly skidded. The Wrangler slid sideways half a meter, narrowly scraping against the canyon guardrail. Before he could regain control, the silver net descended. The adhesive net wrapped around his rear wheels, dragging his speed from 180 kilometers per hour down to 90. Zhou Hao shouted furiously. Xianing, just you wait. Xianing activated the thunder engine. The dozen-ton alloy beast unleashed devastating torque in a fraction of a second. Her speed rocketed upward, and she quickly closed the gap to Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao's eyes widened in shock. How can that lumbering heavy truck be this fast? Xianing issued a warning. Use another item on me, and I'll take you out. Trapped by the net, Zhou Hao's speed remained stuck at 90 kilometers per hour for 10 full seconds. Meanwhile, first place on the track had already changed hands. Don't Mess with Zhang's white Land Cruiser held the lead. He had been stuck behind Zhou Hao in second place, but when the Wrangler slid out of control and slowed, he slammed on the gas without hesitation and seized first position. Ha ha, you all can eat my exhaust while I grab the win. He laughed triumphantly inside his vehicle. The Land Cruiser boasted stable handling. He carved wide arcs across the 50-meter track and crashed into a floating golden crate. The crate shattered, releasing a nitro boost. He activated it instantly. Blue flames erupted from the exhaust. Though unfamiliar with the uneven terrain, he dared not floor the throttle completely. Even so, his speed climbed to roughly 220 kilometers per hour. Bodhi rode her red motorcycle, keeping steady pace behind him. As she rounded a bend, she deployed a fog generator. Damn it. Zhou Hao cursed. He had seen the road ahead, yet he still had to slow cautiously to navigate through safely. In fifth position, building supplier Wang's eyes glinted with calculation, a slight smile forming on his lips. He pressed the gas all the way down and triggered nitro boost, charging straight toward Zhou Hao. To survive this brutal survival game, constant growth was mandatory. That title granting +5 all attributes was worth fighting for with every chance available. Now, the perfect opportunity had arrived. Building supplier Wang grinned viciously as his photon truck slammed into the side of the Wrangler. Crash! The collision sent the Wrangler sliding sideways more than 2 meters. Zhou Hao was caught off guard, slamming his head against the window and seeing stars. Damn it! He yelled, gripping the wheel tightly and yanking it hard. Tires screeched against asphalt as the vehicle drifted sideways dozens of meters, halting just beside the guardrail. The front bumper hung half a meter away from the endless abyss. Zhou Hao was soaked in cold sweat, his heart hammering wildly. Tisk, building supplier Wang sighed in disappointment. He had missed by a hair's breadth. You rotten old man. Zhou Hao burned with rage and threw a spark shell in retaliation. The shell struck the front of the photon truck and burst into blinding white light. Building supplier Wang's vision blurred, and his truck began swerving erratically. He strained his arms and barely wrestled the vehicle back on course. But the delay cost him dearly, dropping him straight to last place. Even little Susu's pink scooter overtook him. The live race rankings were now clear. 1. Don't Mess with Zhang's white Land Cruiser, speeding forward with blazing exhaust flames. 2. Bodhi's red Ducati, riding closely in the Land Cruiser's slipstream, her short hair streaming backward in the wind. Xia Ning's Dion heavy truck, following steadily like a dormant steel giant. Further back, Peaceful Day's black BYD, Deep Affection's Wuling Hongguang, Little Su's Yadia Scooter, Wait While I Brew Coke's Smoking Wrangler, Building Supplier Wang's Photon Light Truck. Xia Ning leaned back in her driver's seat. More than 40 kilometers of track remained. There was no need to rush. Besides, whoever held the lead would likely become the target of every other racer. Sure enough, someone activated a disruptor against the Land Cruiser. Don't mess with Zhang's speed plummeted instantly. In that split window, Bodhi's red Ducati surged past. Damn. Don't mess with Zhang gritted his teeth and launched a homing missile straight at Bodhi. Bodhi let out a cold huff. Without turning her head, she activated a shield. Then she accelerated. As an experienced motorcyclist, she knew her Ducati's limits. Its factory top speed reached 330 kilometers per hour. After upgrading the vehicle to Tier 2, its engine had been reconstructed, pushing maximum speed to 400 kilometers per hour. She had been waiting for this exact moment. Protected by the shield, she twisted the throttle all the way open. Her speed rocketed from over 200 to break 300, then charged toward 400. The red motorcycle became a bolt of lightning tearing down the track, pulling hundreds of meters ahead of the Land Cruiser. Damn. How is she that fast? Don't mess with, Zhang shouted. He could barely see her taillights. Xia Ning narrowed her eyes, surprised by the dark horse competitor. She accelerated slightly and settled firmly into second place. What the hell? Don't mess with, Zhang stared in disbelief. A heavy truck was outpacing him. It defied all logic. Once Bodhi built up a lead, her advantage became obvious. Most items had limited targeting range and could no longer lock onto her. First place is mine. Bodhi's eyes lit up, fully confident of victory. Xia Ning leaned back in the heavy truck seat. 2 disruptors remained in her inventory, saved for just such a moment. She decided to deploy them early. A pale blue device sliced through the air and hovered directly above Bodhi. In the next instant, her speed crashed sharply for 5 full seconds. Just as she tried to accelerate again, a second disruptor materialized. The Dion heavy truck and Land Cruiser closed the gap. Bodhi frowned deeply, overcome by a sense of helplessness. Item races were incredibly frustrating. Don't mess with, Zhang sat in his Land Cruiser, madness flickering in his gaze. The motorcycle was far too quick. Now that he had caught up, he could not afford to let this chance slip away. If you want to compete for first place, you'll have to go down first. He spun the steering wheel and charged straight for the Ducati. Bodhi caught sight of the white vehicle rushing toward her from the corner of her eye. Her pupils shrank. No. She tried to swerve, yet the lingering effect of the disruptor weighed her bike down, making it impossible to turn. Crash! The Land Cruiser slammed squarely into the rear wheel of the Ducati. The motorcycle was sent flying, spinning like a top. Bodhi was thrown clear, tracing a desperate arc through the air. Her scream was torn apart by the wind. The red motorcycle plummeted into the dark canyon first, followed by Bodhi's falling figure, vanishing over the edge. Ding, player Bodhi eliminated by player Don't mess with Zhang. All supplies will be automatically inherited. Xia Ning's expression turned icy. This game truly laid bare human nature. If that was how they wanted to play, then she would let them feel the terror commanded by her Dion heavy truck. Here I come. The heavy truck's engine roared like a wild beast, charging straight for the Land Cruiser. Don't mess with, Zhang was celebrating until a massive shadow loomed beside him. He turned his head, eyes blown wide. Xia Ning smirked. The Land Cruiser was tossed aside like a toy car, spinning 3.5 times mid-air. It crashed brutally onto the track, metal crumpling and windows shattering into fragments. Zhang Biao was thrown violently inside, covered in blood, barely clinging to consciousness. Ding, player Don't mess with Zhang eliminated by player boss Xia with pincers. All supplies will be automatically inherited. Xia Ning checked her inventory. She had gained more than 2,000 survival coins, 13 portions of universal fuel, plus an assortment of food and miscellaneous items. The 5 remaining players watched the entire event unfold. Building supplier Wang's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. He had planned to launch a homing bomb, but the idea died instantly. He feared his small truck would be smashed into scrap metal. Peaceful Days, seated in his black BYD, gasped in shock. The race's outcome was settled. No one dared risk colliding with the heavy truck. I'll just take it easy. Deep Affection, driving the Wuling Hongguang, gently eased off the throttle. Little Su rode her pink scooter, her face pale. She also chose to concede. The title granting +5 all attributes sounded wonderful, yet everyone only had one life. She wanted to stay as far away from that heavy truck as possible. As for Dohao, he sat in his vehicle, his expression shifting between dark and uncertain. He hated to give up, yet he possessed no viable plan. The gap between their vehicles was far too great. He also had no doubt that if he targeted Xianing with another item, she would eliminate him without hesitation. Xianing watched the remaining 5 players through the rearview mirror. When she slowed down, all of them slowed down as well. When she sped up, they stayed right where they were. It seemed the imposing presence of the Dion heavy truck was far more effective than she'd imagined. The once tense atmosphere on the track instantly turned strangely calm. Each player harbored their own plans, yet their movements were eerily uniform. They trailed behind the Dion heavy truck, behaving obediently. After all, no one wanted to be the next one eliminated. Xianing pushed her speed back up to 300 kilometers per hour. For the remaining 30-odd kilometers, an unsettling silence hung over the track. Not a single player used an item. Golden light marking the finish line glowed ahead. Xianing slammed on the gas and charged straight through. Congratulations to player boss Xia with claws for claiming first place in the 8-vehicle-free 4-all-group stage. Title obtained. Racing Novice All Stats +5. Inside the cabin, Xianing stretched lazily, a faint amused glint flickering across her eyes. A flash of white light swept over her, and she returned to the endless lonely highway. Snow still drifted outside the windows, howling winds raging everywhere. Xianing opened her status panel to check her conditions before continuing her journey. On the mileage leaderboard, Wolf Totem had driven 5,230 kilometers and held the top spot. Xianing's rank had slipped back above the 1,000th place. TCH, this guy really never tires. She curled her lip, then lightly pressed the ignition switch for her Thunder engine. Xianing drove for another 3 hours, bringing her total mileage to 4,000 kilometers. By 7 o'clock in the evening, dusk fell and the sky darkened gradually. She parked her vehicle and sorted through her supplies. Along the way, she had opened 12 white treasure chests and 1 green treasure chest. Her luck had held steady. No empty chests, no monster encounters, and the loot multipliers had worked wonderfully. The green chest, in particular, triggered a ×10 critical drop. She received 30 batteries, 10 down jackets, and 10 first aid kits. Meanwhile, the global chat channel was flooded with cries of distress. Does anyone have bandages? I can't stop the bleeding on my arm. Urgent help. My car flipped over and I broke my arm. What do I do? Anyone got vehicle repair kits? My car's totaled. This competition is such a scam. I almost lost my life out here. Xianing raised an eyebrow. Anyone still able to type in the chat channel counted among the lucky ones. After all, quite a few players had already perished. She thought for a moment and sent a message to Little Lu. Boss Xia with claws, want some down jackets? Little Lu replied instantly, Boss. Yes, please. Xianing sent a trade request. The girl had gifted her a pet egg before, so this was simply returning the favor. She placed the down jackets and batteries into the trade window, keeping the first aid kits for herself. After tidying up briefly, she curled up with Nuan and went to sleep early. At 8 o'clock the next morning, Xianing woke up in the center of her large bed. Nuan. She rubbed her eyes, wondering where the little creature had wandered off to. Moments later, Nuan hopped over from the sofa, clutching a fire crystal in its paws. Xianing ruffled Nuan's fur before heading to wash up. Skipping shampoo saved plenty of time. 10 minutes later, she stood at the control panel and collected her daily meals. Shrimp dumplings ×10 plus chrysanthemum pu'er tea ×10, char siu buns ×10 plus almond milk ×10, yanchun noodles ×10 plus red bean paste ×10. Today's meals leaned toward Cantonese morning tea. Xianing ate a serving of char siu buns with almond milk, then opened the chat channel. Global banner notification. Boss Xia with claws. Morning tea sets shrimp dumplings / char siu buns / yanchun noodles plus drinks. Trading for forging stones. First come, first served. In less than 10 minutes, she easily gathered 20 for forging stones. Iron ore ×200, wood planks ×200, leather ×200, vehicle parts ×200, explosion, proof tire blueprint ×6, bulletproof glass blueprint ×6, refined steel ×20, manganese steel ×20, forging stone ×50. After confirming her materials, Xianing began upgrading her vehicle. Iron ore, refined steel and manganese steel melted into a crimson liquid metal. The explosion, proof tire blueprint and bulletproof glass blueprint turned into streaks of light, sinking into the wheels and windows respectively. Upgrade progress: 1%, 35%, 77%, 100%. Ding! Vehicle upgrade complete. Level 3 vehicle traits unlocked: Steel Barrier, Master of Energy Conservation, Feast Domain, Sentry Mode. Xianing's eyes lit up. Show me detailed descriptions of the new functions. Steel Barrier, integrated bulletproof glass and explosion-proof tires. The vehicle body is covered with composite armor made of refined steel and manganese steel. Master of Energy Conservation, further optimized energy efficiency. Fuel consumption drops from 18 L per 100 kilometers unloaded to 10 L per 100 kilometers. Feast Domain, advanced automatic cooking system. Daily food output rises from 10 servings of each dish to 20 servings. Perfect. Explosion-proof tires were incredibly valuable in this game. Her fuel consumption had dropped once more, nearly matching that of an ordinary sedan. The food production was still excellent, granting her 60 servings total each day. The only letdown was that the Thunder engine received no enhancements. Xianing started her vehicle and continued traveling. Near noon, she glanced at the mileage leaderboard. Wolf Totem in first place and Citizen in second were both stuck at 5,500 kilometers. Xianing blinked. They must have reached a service station. If everything went smoothly, she would arrive there in the afternoon. At 5:30 in the afternoon, a pale gray outline appeared along the horizon. Unlike the Tiger service station, this structure glowed with faint cool blue light. Dense hexagonal patterns lined its high walls, resembling honeycomb architecture. A floating stone tablet hung above the main gate, carved with 5 seal, script characters, Rabbit Service Station. Xianing slowed down and parked steadily in the lot. As soon as she pushed open the car door, a slender figure hopped right in front of her. The girl stood less than 170 centimeters tall, dressed in a silver-white uniform. A pair of fluffy rabbit ears sat atop her head, twitching with every movement. She had the delicate features of a beast in maiden, a soft pink nose and amber eyes. Greetings, honored visitor. Welcome to Rabbit Service Station. The rabbit-eared girl bowed 90 degrees and held out a glowing card with both hands. Xianing took the card and scanned it, the corner of her mouth twitching involuntarily. It was a dungeon entry pass, clearly priced at 1,000 survival coins. Xianing paused and asked, "If I don't buy this, can I leave the service station directly?" The rabbit-eared girl smiled innocently. "Of course. Our rabbit clan never forces anyone to buy anything. We wouldn't set this price if it wasn't worth it." Xianing pressed her lips together, placing 100 survival coins into the girl's pocket. "Could you share a little more information?" The rabbit girl brightened instantly. "You're such a nice lady. I'll tell you, this dungeon holds a chance to obtain special items. 1,000 survival coins is truly a bargain." Over the next 5 minutes, Xianing listened carefully to the rabbit girl's explanation. Her brows stayed slightly furrowed as she sank into thought. The dungeon was challenging, even highly risky. Yet its rewards were undeniably generous. With outstanding performance, participants could even obtain stat-boosting mutation potions. Xianing tapped her chin with her fingertips, hesitation vanishing from her gaze. Her vehicle was now level 3, fitted with bulletproof composite armor. If she encountered threats she could not handle, she still had room to retreat. "I'll take it." Xianing handed over 1,000 survival coins. The rabbit-eared girl's eyes sparkled as she tucked the money into her fluffy pocket. "You're so decisive, sister. The dungeon is called Rotting Metropolis. It lasts 48 hours. The entrance is behind that honeycomb gate. The rules are simple. Kill zombies to earn points. Higher points unlock better rewards for exchange. Oh, and you'll be automatically teleported out once 48 hours pass. Please stay careful once you enter." Xianing smiled at the rabbit-eared girl, then turned and strode back to her food truck. When she pulled open the door, Nuan lay on the driver's seat, crunching away at the fire crystal clutched in its front paws. It lifted its head as Xianing returned, crystal dust dusting the corners of its mouth, and let out a small chirp by way of greeting. "Let's go, Nuan." Xianing lifted the creature onto the passenger seat, settled into the driver's seat, and fastened her seatbelt. The Thunder engine let out a low roar, and the food truck rolled slowly out of the parking lot toward the massive honeycomb gate at the back of the service station. The closer she drew to the gate, the more she sensed faint spatial ripples washing over the vehicle, like waves spreading across water. The honeycomb gate, constructed from countless hexagonal metal plates, slid slowly apart to reveal a swirling gray vortex of light behind it. Without hesitation, Xianing pressed the gas pedal, and the food truck charged straight inside. Her vision twisted and stretched in an instant, as though she'd been pulled abruptly into a kaleidoscope. Blinding multicolored light pressed in from all directions before exploding violently the next second. When Xianing opened her eyes again, the world outside the windows had completely transformed. The sky hung heavy with lead, gray clouds, sagging low as if on the verge of collapsing. A cloying rotten stench mixed with rust and dust drifted through the vehicle vents. Tall ruined buildings lined both sides of the road. Shattered glass webs spread across the curtain walls, and steel rebars jutted out from concrete like exposed bones. Abandoned vehicles littered the street. Some were burnt down to metal frames, others stood with doors gaping open, stained with dark brown residue on their seats. Low, guttural roars echoed in the distance, raw and suppressed. Ding! You have entered the dungeon-rotting metropolis. Dungeon rules. Defeat zombies to earn points. Points may be exchanged for rewards at the exit. Remaining time, 47 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds. All right, here we are. Xianing rolled her neck and shifted into drive. The food truck rumbled through the ruins. Explosion. Proof tires crunched over broken glass and rubble. Xianing kept her speed around 40 kilometers per hour, scanning her surroundings as she drove. This street must have been prosperous once. Storefronts lined both sides with crooked hanging signage, half broken away. A convenience store's rolling shutter hung half open, its interior swallowed by darkness. Xianing was debating whether to stop and scavenge when a figure suddenly darted out from the intersection ahead. No, it was not human. The creature wore tattered overalls. Its skin was sickly gray-green, peeling away in large patches to reveal dark red muscle underneath. Its eyeballs were milky white. Its mouth stretched far back to its ears, bearing jagged yellow, black teeth as it shambled toward the truck. A zombie. Xianing narrowed her eyes. Instead of slowing down, she gently pressed harder on the gas. The food truck surged forward, its heavy front slamming directly into the zombie. Boom! A dull impact threw the zombie like a ragdoll. It spun through the air and crashed heavily against a roadside utility pole. Its spine bent at an unnatural angle. It twitched once or twice, then fell still. Common zombie eliminated ×1, points +1. Only 1 point? Xianing huffed in disappointment. She prepared to move onward when her peripheral vision caught something glinting beside the corpse. Xianing braked, reversed a short distance, and stepped out of the vehicle once parked. It was a gray crystal no bigger than a fingernail, translucent and faintly shimmering. She bent to pick it up, a cool tingle spread across her fingertips. Zombie crystal, grade, common, use, may be exchanged for supplies at designated shops. Xianing arched an eyebrow and stowed the crystal in her backpack. A pleasant, unexpected gain. She climbed back into the truck and continued exploring deeper along the main road. The farther she traveled into the city, the more zombies crowded the streets. At first, only stragglers wandered about, then groups of 3 or 5. Soon after, she spotted at least 40 zombies gathering at the crossroads ahead. They seemed to sense the presence of living humans. Every head turned uniformly. Clouded eyes locked onto the food truck, followed by a chorus of low growls. The next instant, the horde surged forward like a tide. Whoa! Xianing's pupils shrank. She threw the vehicle into reverse and slammed on the accelerator without hesitation. The truck shot backward, tires screaming against the pavement. But the zombies moved quickly. Several from the front ranks reached the truck, slamming rotting fists against the hood. Thud! 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 Muffled impacts echoed from outside. Gray-green grime smudged the bulletproof armor plating. Xianing gritted her teeth, shifted back into forward gear, and floored the gas. The thunder engine roared like a wild beast. The food truck charged into the zombie horde like an enraged rhinoceros. Boom! 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 Deafening collisions rang out. Zombies were sent flying in all directions. Some were dragged beneath the wheels, accompanied by sickening cracks of splintering bone. The explosion, proof tires rolled over corpses. The vehicle jolted slightly, yet never slowed. Xianing gripped the steering wheel tightly, her gaze sharp and cold as she steered the heavy truck crashing through the mob. 5 minutes later, silence returned to the crossroads. 30, Odd zombie bodies lay scattered across the ground. A few twitched weakly, most completely motionless. Common zombie eliminated times 34, points plus 34. Zombie crystal times 7 obtained. Xianing stopped the truck and let out a long breath. She inspected the vehicle. It remained fully intact. The bulletproof armor's defensive power exceeded her expectations. She checked the time. Only 15 minutes had passed since entering the dungeon, yet she already held 34 points and 7 crystals. At this rate, earning a high score within 48 hours was well within reach. Still, Xianing knew this was merely the opening warm-up. More dangerous zones and stronger monsters were guaranteed to lie ahead. She moistened her lips and continued deeper into the city along the main road. When she rounded a pile of rubble and turned onto a relatively intact street, the sight ahead forced her to slam on the brakes. A vehicle sat in the middle of the street. It was a silver, gray Toyota Corolla covered in dust and scratches. Its left side mirror hung broken, crudely secured with tape. Dark-tinted film covered the windows, blocking any view of the interior. None of that mattered, however. The driver's door stood wide open. Beside the door on the pavement spread a pool of dark red blood. The blood had not fully dried, stark against the pale gray asphalt.